Knockback, the retro and nostalgia podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Knockback. My name is Colin Moriarty. I'm joined as always by my brother Dagan Moriarty. Dagan, good to see you today, my friend. How are you?
Picking up right where we left off, man.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
I mean,
dude, I was so excited when you told me we were going to do this. I mean, can I just start by saying this?
Yeah.
It means a lot in this world of sacred symbols and summon sign and all these other important sought after podcasts. The place that there's a little spot, there's a little, the fact that there's a little spot, a little humble niche for our humble little podcast called Knockback means a lot.
I'm glad you feel that way. I mean, we kind of kept this under our hat for a while because we're recording this on January 31st. It'll go live. I don't know when it will go live. But we discussed doing this in like November, December.
Yeah.
And we had to get things in order. And you know how I like to just surprise everyone. So I haven't said a word about this to anybody except for those that are helping us with it. Specifically,
that's what I wanted to ask you. So you didn't mention this at all to the audience. This is a complete surprise.
Complete surprise. Yeah, no one knows this is happening. Yeah.
See, I think that's really. Hold on, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. I think that's really the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So,
why did you have to tell me that you were taking a sip of coffee? I don't understand. And why did it have to be like right when I was talking? Like, well, that was weird.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is weird. It's weird. My timing's good. Listen, a lot of this is going to be shaken off the rust. I haven't really podcasted aside from a little thing we did,
Sacred Symbols. The response to that episode, I don't know if you saw it. The response to that episode was,
I did not see it.
aren't you still on the Patreon? Like as a contributor or whatever?
Yeah, I'm still, well, no, I'm not on the Patreon. You had me juiced in. I don't even contribute. You had me like everybody else where we could see.
No, that's what I mean. As an LSM contributor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know if you saw it or not. Yeah. The reaction was through the roof.
I was nervous about the reaction.
There was nothing to be. It was so absurd. Like Dustin and I were talking about that. It's like, what are you nervous about? Like people are going to be so amped. And it was like, people loved it. But it was at that time that we discussed like bringing the show back, doing it a little, because the last time when we did was The Last of Us.
Right.
Which ended up being a huge episode, like one of the biggest episodes we ever did. Not only from a length perspective, which was like 7 hours long, but
from a girth perspective.
From a girth perspective. 8 or 9 inches across in diameter.
Just like the diameter of a coffee can.
Right.
Right,
exactly. Exactly. It's gonna be awful.
Dude, you know what's funny about that? What's ironic? It really is picking up where we left off, because when I have this movie that we're going to do. No spoilers.
Spoilers.
Right?
People, I hate when you do that. People click on the thing. They know what it is. It's not like it's just a mystery episode.
That's true. It's true. But just in case you blindly, or in case you're vision impaired.
Yeah.
Right. I popped this into, my goal was to pop this into my PS4 and just watch it. It's not even a Blu-ray. It's just a DVD of the film we're going to watch. Right. Ejected the disc that was in there. Last of Us Part 2.
Wow.
Literally picking up where we left off.
Interesting.
Which I thought was really kind of a cool piece of narrative.
Yeah, right. That is a little environmental storytelling.
Love it.
Well, the reason I wanted to bring this, but so we're going to do the episodes more seldom. I don't think we're going to even be on a schedule, but we'll do them. Dagan has a normal job and we're recording this on a Saturday.
Right.
So like doing games and stuff, I think is going to be a little too intensive, at least for now. But I felt like film would be a good one. And for some reason, TMNT just came into my mind. Now, one of the things I have to explain to everyone as we go forward, and I don't know exactly how it's going to come out or whatever, is the reason I wanted to bring it back was to see if we can do it better on video. And one of the things that we never do, and I've talked about this, and like this is putting us in some level of peril, I guess. I don't really think so, but is like, I don't like using footage. Generally, like side quests used to do that, and that's fine or whatever, but it just exposes you to being randomly demonetized, randomly copyright struck, and so that's, people have always asked with Sacred Symbols or whatever, like, why don't you play like gameplay footage or something?
Sure.
Like, I'm like, like you could, and you're going to get away with it almost certainly, and there's nothing to get away with. Like it's Let's Plays are technically illegal. Like we've talked about this in the past. It's just that no one cares because everyone kind of feels like it's good for you, but you can't watch a film and then post the film. Right? So it's like, it's really no different. And so but then I'm so inspired by, and I've talked about this a million times, like Red Letter Media and
Oh,
others,
the
and they
best.
just do a really great job with splicing things together. And I'm like, why don't we just try to make Knockback and use Knockback as like an experiment to see if we could do finer edits and make it more watchable. So there are two things to say about this. Number one is I came up with this idea late last year, and like November or early December, I talked to Lockmore. Lockmore's a really important piece of this puzzle because I asked
Yeah.
him if he wanted to edit this for us. He's been doing all of the streaming edits and all of the rest, so we pulled him off of that, and I was like, let's see if you can do this instead. And I want to call it Super Knockback in video format.
Love it.
And then the audio will just be Knockback episode, whatever the fuck episode it is. And
Oh, so there's going to be 2 versions.
yeah, so like I want people to be able to listen to it still, like
Okay.
like this.
Yeah.
But I wonder if this will even be in the video version. You know,
Food for
that I'm going to leave
thought.
to Lockmore. I'm going to see like what he wants to do,
Love it.
and then go from there. So that's kind of the way I envision it. So people that still have the podcast feed active or on Patreon that prefer audio, it'll just be a normal episode of Knockback. For people that like the video version of it, we'll try to do something finer for YouTube and then see what happens. I don't know if it will continue to do it after this. Maybe no one will care. I don't know. But
I'm a big fan of this idea. I love the fact of like ramping up the edit, and I like taking Lockmort's talents. You know, think of like it's a Lockmort edit for those that know. Cross up with, mash that up with an episode of Knockback. I don't think it could hurt. And I love the fact that there's going to be 2 versions of it. That's really neat.
yeah, and they might be indistinguishable if you just listen to both of them. I don't know. I mean, we'll let him do what he wants to do.
Very cool.
But that was kind of my vision of this. And then I feel like, because Knockback deserves more. I've always said that. Like, I feel like it's a great show. It just got to find its way. Maybe it'll find its way by doing these better YouTube edits, and then people will be turned on to it. But we'll see. I mean, we'll
Super
see.
cool. Super cool.
But
Shot in the arm for Knockback. Can't hurt.
No, I mean, it's a dormant show anyway. I'm trying to see
Exactly. When did we do was Last of Us Part 2? Dude, this is how bad my memory is. Was it even 2025? It had to be.
It was April, so it's not even been a year. We published it publicly April 16th, so it probably went live a little bit earlier than that.
That feels right.
But this is technically episode 288.
Wow.
So,
holy cow. It does not feel, that's definitely a testament to Knockback, at least from my perspective. It doesn't feel like we did that many. It really doesn't. It was always such a labor of love. It really was. Yeah, Knockback is I know we're both very proud of it, but wow, 288, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm scrolling through it now because I think we actually did a Turtles episode as well.
We did, but it was an all-encompassing
right.
TMNT
yeah, episode 11, May 3rd, 2018.
Shit. That was a lifetime ago.
We did just
that was early.
It was an hour and 20-minute long episode just talking about the Turtles and our past with the Turtles. So this this episode will be about very specific Turtles property, the March 1990 TMNT film, a live action film, iconic film. I got to say, a film I've always loved, and
love it. So good.
Going back to watch it for the first time in years now, I just rented it on Amazon. I actually pulled a Dagan and I watched it twice, which I usually don't do. That was a big thing, by the way, with me in Knockback. I got to say this and just get this out of the way, is that one of the things that I didn't like about doing Knockback was that I felt like I was becoming and I think you felt the same way. It's like I became like because we did it every week and then we did it every other week or whatever. But even then I'm like a media machine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this sucks. Like I don't want to like absorb everything with like fastidiously with a fucking taking notes and like typing and like pausing it to look something up. And then I miss something and I'm rewinding. Like that's the way I watch shit. So what I did was this is Saturday, so Thursday night I just rented it on Amazon. It's a 48-hour rental period, so I was like, I'm just like Mike and I was like let's just watch it. And that's what I didn't take any notes. We just sat on the couch,
watch it all the way through.
Yeah, and then last night I like dissected it.
That's a great way to do it. This way you could really enjoy it. Just take it organically, and then you could break it down and think of the anecdotes. And you want to talk about it smart, so the research and then the personal perspective and all that kind of thing. That's the best way to do it. But definitely that's a hard thing to relate to if you don't podcast. But when you're talking about, like Colin does with games, of course, at length, and then what we do with Knockback with everything we talked about, you do feel like you're kind of beholden to it. It becomes like a job. And it's like, I just want to enjoy this thing. Usually there were things that we liked or that we were interested in at least exploring again. And it tends to, not all the time, but kind of on the whole, it tends to sap the enjoyment out of it, at least to some degree. But that's what's nice about this. First of all, this movie's very digestible. It's like it's a quick watch, it's brisk, but also it's something that we enjoy. So it was like, I've also seen this so many times that I don't think I even needed to watch it again. You know, that you always get a little something extra, and we'll talk about all those things. But yeah, I've seen this so many times that I could have came into this conversation.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
I think I got a lot more out of it now than I did, when I was younger. But it is one of those things where I'm like, I know this whole movie. Like it actually was. It was. You'll probably recall it was the rare movie we had on VHS. Like we only had like a dozen movies on VHS. It wasn't VHS is for people that, and I was even young, at the time.
You were young,
but like VHSs were getting cheaper by the late 80s, but they were expensive.
Oh, hell yeah.
I remember seeing it was like the Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi that we used to rent from the library. Still had a price tag on it from whenever they bought it, and it was like $99.99 or something like that.
That's insane.
Which is so interesting. So that would have been like 83 or 84 or something like that. And then we used to rent that, and I used to be so fascinated by that because then you would get these like, and I remember the Turtles video was kind of like, I don't want to say cheap, but it wasn't like the Disney Little Mermaid treatment or whatever. It was like literally just in a very thin cardboard box. Yes. I remember the art. It was like very dark. And so like, yeah, it was highly rewatchable. But I also want to say, and like getting into this, I feel like I know we saw TMNT 2 in the theater because I have memories of that. I'm pretty sure we saw this in the theater too. But I don't know. Do you have any memories of that? Because TMNT 2, I remember a lot better seeing it with you than
I do remember that
because we were excited about
vividly.
It.
Yeah. Because we were coming off of this movie.
Yeah, it was like really quick after this. It was like barely a year later they released TMNT 2. It was like the spring, I think, of
was it that
91 or something like that.
Wow,
yeah.
That's incredible. Makes sense though. They wanted to capitalize. I don't remember. I was going to ask you the same thing. I do remember seeing this in the theater. I don't remember who I was with. You were young. I mean, you were 5.
I was going to say March 1990, I would have been in kindergarten.
Yeah.
I was one-shotted bad by TMNT, as I think you probably remember. Like, I was the perfect age for it. Perfect. I was a little young for G.I. Joe. It's interesting that I got into it so deeply. I just loved it. But TMNT is the only toy line that ever existed before Star Wars, and Star Wars came from me after G.I. Joe. It was the only one that truly interrupted it, where I eventually chose G.I. Joe. Like, but it was a couple of years of both. With those like with the trees of accessories.
Oh, sure.
Which G.I. Joe would do later. And like that brown color that all the weapons were, and they were like little ninja stars and pizzas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude.
And I remember getting some of the toys. Like I remember specifically, was it Mauser or what was that or is that from Mario? The thing you twisted, like it was a little mouse robot.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
the
like,
little Mauser.
Mauser, yeah. And
Baxter Stockman's little henchman.
Right. And like you had them and they were like actual toys that would walk and stuff like that. There were so many cool things. I had all the Turtles. I had Shredder, Rocksteady, Bebop. I don't know where they are though. Like that's the thing. I don't know. I definitely didn't sell them. Like I sold a lot of my Marvel stuff and all that when I was a kid, but I never sold any of that stuff. So it's got to be somewhere. But
yeah, it's got to be floating around. Yeah, that was like definitely TMNT as a whole. I think of the toys, I think of the games, I think of the TV, and of course the films eventually, everything past the comics, because I think the graphic novels got released the year you got released, and they were very underground. But by the time TMNT became like a pop culture thing, that was like right in your millennial wheelhouse. That was the first big thing for your generation. It was everywhere, dude. Because I was too old for it already. I was just a nerd.
Yeah,
I was 15 when this movie came out.
Right, exactly. And I think the TMNT cartoon, which was really seminal for me as well. I didn't watch the whole run because it went to like 95 or 96. I was like way out of it by then. But
Jesus,
like
really?
87.
Yeah.
That like 88, 89, 90, 91 is probably when I was watching them constantly. It was on before school, it was on after school. I had TMNT like fucking backpack. I had all the toys. I don't know if you remember this. The big thing that I loved was that I had a TMNT lunch tray.
I do remember that.
And Mom used to, like, we in our big house, we had like this huge den. We were not allowed to eat or drink anywhere except for the kitchen. And so my mom would position this like tray on the ground that had like little feet under it. So it was up probably like a foot off the ground. And I would like sit Indian style at the corner so I could watch TV. And it was like this Turtles tray. And I would eat, a sandwich.
Where the kitchen and the threshold between the kitchen and the TV room.
Like it was they were so dead serious about me not being in the living room or the den with food that they would position me at the threshold.
That is such a funny memory, but I remember that. And I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Was the image on that tray, was it from the intro of the TV show?
I think it was. It was all four of them.
Yeah.
It had like the Turtles like splash logo. And
Yes.
I don't know. That might be just floating around somewhere too.
I feel like it is.
That would be awesome to find. Like,
that's a great one. Super nostalgic.
So yeah, like it was all the licensing and the merchandising. And you're right. That was the thing from me. People, I mean, maybe a little older than me was probably really aimed for. But like I was definitely one-shotted by it. Everyone was. Right.
Yeah.
Like it was so good. So before we get into the film, which I love and I know you love, and I have so much to say about it because I authentically think it is so good. Like it's even in a lot of ways better than I remember. Like because it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I was a kid, I loved it. Then I remember seeing it as a teenager and like a young adult, and I was like, this is still good. But then Turtles kind of got whack, in my opinion. I'm not super into it, but I was looking at some of the pictures and videos from like the other. I'm like, this shit sucks, dude. Like the 2014 one or whatever, like the designs they went with, I'm like, this is awful. Like not anywhere close. And I know that Eastman and Laird still say that this is the best version, like the best live action rendition of Turtles. And I would agree. There's something about it maybe it's Jim Henson. I mean, that's a little piece of it. I think, is it Corey Feldman?
Yeah, I mean, he has something to do with it.
Dude, once I knew that, like, I didn't know that he was Donatello's voice. That's something I learned during this rewatch. And once I knew that, I was like, oh my God, like it ruins every fucking, every line. It's so blatantly him.
Do you think it's bad?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just him going, yeah, like in like the voice. You know what I mean? Like doing his voice, but just doing it with a little like Cowabunga-esque kind of thing.
He was so iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, after Goonies, after Stand By Me, he was a proper movie star even when this came out. So he was the only voice actor who was like recognizable to that degree. But I have to say, not only him, but all four of these voice actors, these performances for the Turtles in this movie kind of set the template for what I always wanted to hear, including Corey Feldman. But I'm also a Gen Xer. So I'm not coming off like the Corey felt the perspective of him like banging his face on the microphone. Have you ever seen that clip?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the iconic fuck up Corey Feldman clip.
It's so good.
I remember his mouth from the Goonies. So it's like, that's the perspective. It's like
his whole story's sad too.
Like, it's such a crazy,
he got fucked up bad, man. Like
child celebrity downfall.
Just doesn't he claim that he was like wildly abused?
Yeah.
And Corey Haim.
Corey Haim, right?
The Corys.
Right. The Corys. I mean, it's like a package deal.
But before we get into the film, we have a lot to talk about, and we've established kind of my beginnings of it. But obviously, I was a little kid. I wasn't even aware really of the Turtles comics, I feel like, until I was older. And even then, I don't know anything about them really. I know what they look like, that the iconic first cover, like in the black and white version of the Mirage release or whatever, where they all wear red. And which I think is actually a really super cool look for them. That color, I don't know if you remember, I think it's the TMNT. Is it the first NES game that has those guys, like that has all of them on it with the red, and everyone was confused by that?
Yeah.
What is this?
People didn't know.
And that was like an ode to the original. Yeah. Like, right. I was like, I don't know what like, it was like they cheaped out and they only wanted to use 3 colors or whatever on the,
I feel like the movie could have done it. That would have been another step in the direction of like, wow, I can't believe how faithful, and we'll talk about this at length, I'm sure, like how faithful this is to the OG graphic novels.
Cool. Yeah. That would have been kind of cool. And that's what I wanted to ask you about is like what, and we probably talked about this on the episode back in 2018, but I don't remember is what are were you aware of this property before or like during, because when the cartoons came out, you would have been like 13. You were already like a huge nerd, proto nerd really. And did you have like, I guess what I'm asking is, were you aware of the graphic novels or the comics? Did you have them?
Sure.
I didn't even really know until researching the movie now that this is a faithful kind of recreation of that original run of comics, which I didn't know. I kind of always just thought the story was made up for the movie, but it's actually the original Turtles story, which is cool.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I just didn't know any of that. So, so where were you on this, like at that time?
Yeah, I had a weird journey with the Turtles in that I think, because I should have been in 87 when the cartoon series, the Fred Wolf animated series premiered. As a 13-year-old, I should have been aging out of this stuff. And again, we talk about in the 80s, there was really no way to hide it. Like you were supposed to be moving on from this kind of nonsense. But I had a friend. We moved from our old house into a new neighborhood, and my friend Adam in our new neighborhood, who was a year younger than me. He was
Adam
our
Smith.
sister Dana's age. Adam Smith. I mean, we talk about him at length on Knockback. He's like another character.
Yeah,
right?
he's awesome. He's fun. There's a lot of funny. He also had kind of a sad upbringing though, right? Like,
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. He
like
had
kind of trying to just
a,
be away from home and trying to be
kind
out
of
with
a broken home scenario
Yeah.
type of thing. But he had an older brother who was probably, his older brother, Sean, was probably like 3 or 4 years older than me, maybe 5. And super nerded out. Like role-playing games, comic books. Like I remember he had the Elektra Assassin, Bill Sienkiewicz Elektra Assassin poster on his wall. Like he was like our touchstone into the things that we didn't know about. And Sean had the Turtle graphic novels, but it wasn't my first exposure to Turtles. My first exposure to the Turtles was like almost everybody else with the animated series. Then I found out about these comic books, which, basically it wasn't Sean holding our hand. Like we would sneak into his room and look at this stuff. We were fascinated. 5 years older, it was like the charm of like this older brother, and he knew all this crazy stuff we didn't know about. Going through the graphic novels and putting 2 and 2 together, basically, there's no internet, saying, oh, this animated series, this goofy thing, this colorful thing sprung out of these much grittier, darker sort of versions of this thing. And reading, I remember Adam letting me borrow those graphic novels, and I think maybe the first 2 original, I don't know if they were first printing. They might have been second printing. And taking them home being like, wow, this is, not only was it my exposure to the Turtles and where, the pop culture thing came from, but it was probably my first my journey with the kind of anything indie, whether it was indie film, indie comic books. And I loved it, dude. I was just in hook, line, and sinker. Again, I think it kind of appealed to my age. So then going backwards, when this movie came out, cut to 1990, it was a surprise that they did a live action adaptation that was so faithful to the source material. Very shocking. I mean, this movie is kind of lightning in a bottle in that it mashes up the cartoony pop culture iteration with the source graphic novel, sort of Eastman and Laird, whatever that was. I guess really Eastman and Laird said that it was kind of a reimagining or a sort of an alternate universe to the Daredevil comics, which they were huge fans of. So the fact that this movie kind of made a little bit more of a childish iteration of the comic books and took so much of that source material and was so faithful to that was so cool for a 15 going on 16-year-old that knew that not a lot of people even knew about that, where this was, with the arc with, Raph getting beaten within an inch of his life, having to lick their wounds down at the farm, like all of these things, Casey, April, the gravitas that the sort of the colorful, cartoony video game and TV iterations didn't really have. So that was like really, and again, like what you said with going into movies 2 and movie 3 and thinking like this was going to be the beginning of something really magical, where it was the first kind of time where we felt like it was really the first great comic book movie, if you will, where it's like, wow, they really get it. Post, so not even comic book to big screen adaptation, but I would say the first great small screen to big screen adaptation. There was one more in my life in the 90s, Kyle, which is a deep cut. In 1995, you may remember, but you were young, MTV put out the Image comic, Sam Keith's The Max, which was a very faithful animated small screen adaptation of the comic book. But this preceded that by 5 years. It really, until later on, MCU and Disney MCU and the DC universe and Zack Snyder and all these guys.
Well, there is the Batman movie right around this time too. That's the one other.
That's true. The Tim Burton Batman. That is true, and that was 89.
Mm-hmm. But that's it. But
that's a great point.
Well, just because I think that's an interesting point though, because I think you're generally right in that Batman and Batman Returns, like those,
so good.
People love those movies.
So good.
Then Batman kind of got whack. I think as a reaction to those movies, like they didn't want to do Burton shit. Like they felt like it should have been something different and campier.
Yeah.
So they like kind of had lightning in the bottle and lost it. It wasn't until
that's a great point.
It wasn't really until like Spider-Man and Nolan with Batman that it started to get more. It started to get Raimi's Spider-Man's obviously incredibly well liked,
So
and
good. Love it.
the Nolan Batman movies are the best, like the absolute best. I fucking love those movies. And then you get the MCU. But
And
you're
I
right,
wasn't a
like,
big Christopher Reeve Superman guy. Even though I
right,
was
Superman's
around in the
there too. Those
70s
movies
and
kinda
80s.
suck.
I don't
Those
like
movies-
them.
Those movies kind of suck, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I never understood like I don't like Superman. Everyone knows that, but like those renditions, Superman just doesn't translate well to things, like unless it's done like with a lot of CG or just done in comic book form or whatever. It's just a weird character. So those movies were huge, just like Adam West
So
Batman
huge.
on TV, but like they were not good.
Right.
They're not good. Like,
You're too
Batman
young
was
for
good.
Christopher Reeve Superman. I wonder what other 52-year-olds feel like, because I feel like I'm not too young to have enjoyed the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. I just didn't. They just didn't click with me.
Well, there was wasn't there like a live action Spider-Man in the 70s? I don't know if it was on TV or a movie, but like it's awful if you look at it. Like there's
yeah,
like it looks like shit.
Spider-Man and all that kind of stuff, like the Japanese TV series and all that. There was a lot of, Electric Company, and there was a lot of Spider-Man, Batman, Turtles. They're very similar in that they lend themselves to different style adaptations. I get it. And like you were saying with Batman and basically kind of running away with it and saying, oh, we could do it in this style. Not everything's going to work. But for some reason, they just captured lightning in a bottle with this Ninja Turtles movie. It's just really, it's not perfect, but it's as close to perfect as in 1990 could have gave us any franchise, I feel like.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, well said. Well, let's get into the film. I mean, it came out March 30th, 1990. Was made for a little less than 15 million. If you read about it, what I was surprised about reading about the film, there's not that much information about this movie. You'd think that there would be a lot of information about this movie, but there's not.
There really isn't.
Like there's a lot of I like going to IMDb and reading like the goofs and the all the like, the little pieces of trivia. And of course there's a lot of interesting trivia, but I just felt like this would be like a almost Star Wars like movie with like endless storytelling and anecdotes and stuff. And there's not a huge amount of lore out there about it that I found anyway. But one of the things that I thought was interesting that I read about is that like no one wanted to do it. Like that New Line, which was irrelevant at the time, ended up picking it up because no one else wanted this movie. And it's just one of those funny, you almost wonder, it's like, what? Like, well, the cartoons and the Playmate toy line are already out and established and killing. You'd think
for
that
a few years.
Yeah. It's like, you'd think people have been like, yeah. Even if it wasn't very good, you probably would have made twice your amount of money or something that you put into it. I was actually kind of flummoxed by that. I was like, damn, especially for $13 to $15 million is a lot of money. Obviously back then it was a lot more money, but it's not that much. I mean,
No.
Star Wars wasn't Star Wars famously made for that much, like about that much money?
That's a good question.
Or 14 years ago before
that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Cause that preceded it by almost 15 years.
Right. So it's like,
crazy.
So it's a fairly cheap film. And I was surprised to read that. And it's funny how they figured it out after the fact. It made $200 something million. And then, like I said, they really fast tracked the sequel, which was a piece of the lore. And then the third one, which was whack. I really like the second one too. I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember loving the intro scene. And I feel like I was in the theater and like we were really loving it, like when they're fighting the Foot Clan in the lobby of the building and they're tossing the ooze around or whatever. It's super cool.
I think I only saw it that one time, to be honest with you.
But then I was frustrated that like Laird and Eastman I was always annoyed that Rocksteady and Bebop weren't in it.
Yes.
I love those characters, and that was them. They were the ones that kept them out, which I didn't realize. They were like, we want new characters.
I didn't know that was the Tokar and Razor.
Yeah,
Toka and Razor,
which are cool. They're cool too. But it's like, I'm like, we already have that's like, the Temu Rocksteady and Bebop. It's like, we already have Rocksteady and Bebop. What are you doing?
I love that.
And they were like, no, we don't really want to. Yeah. So that's that found anyway. We'll get to that movie at some point. But so let's start high level. I mean, what do you think of 1990 TMNT?
I loved it when it came out because, again, I was old enough to realize, and I was actually kind of juiced in, thank God, because of Sean Smith, Adam's brother, that this was based on something that I think going in, there were probably a lot of people my age or a little younger that were like, what the hell is this? This is so weird. The tone, the atmosphere. It's not like the Turtles we know from TV and the video games, right? And whatever's been established. But I had known that some of the stuff was taken directly from the graphic novels. And now looking at it, it's very clever because back then, especially this era, you could just kind of like, if you were a parent, right, and your kids were into TMNT, you could set them off with the Nintendo game, or you'd take them to the mall and they could play the 4-player arcade in 1989,
what a
which was
banger.
awesome, iconic.
And the NES port is great too.
NES port of that game is amazing. Or you could sit them in front of the TV and they could watch, or they could read the comics, like the Archie comics that were like really more taken from the pages, taken from the screen and put on the pages of the comic book. You know what I mean? So it was a lighter, sort of more kiddie adaptation. But they knew that parents were going to have to watch this with their kids. This is a movie experience now. It's a feature film. And there's just enough. It's a nice sort of hodgepodge or blending of the kidified Ninja Turtles with the material from the comics, which was a little more gritty. Very clever. Now, to me, now watching and being a fan of the comics, I want it to be a little more gritty and a little less goofy and cheesy. But there's just enough cheese and goof for kids, with the pizza and the cowabunga and the colored headbands and all that kind of thing. And then you could appeal to the teens and the adults with, whether it's the love story between April and Casey, or whether it's that every character has stakes, or the gravitas of the acting, which we could, talk about, Judith Hogue and Elias Koteas, and, we got Sam Rockwell in this. You know what I mean? There's
that was weird. When I realized it was him, I was like, that's so fucking weird, dude. That's his like first role, basically.
He went on to become like a big deal, like a proper feature film, like a movie star.
Yeah, and he's like, is he the one when they're walking down the stairs and he's like, do whatever you want? Like
yeah, he's the head. He's the head thug.
Yeah, he's like, seriously. Right? Yeah.
But who knew that would come out of this?
It's so fun.
The Sam Rockwell that we would go on to know would come out of this little part that he had in this movie. But I think that, in other words, there's something for everybody in this movie. And again, it seems like one of those things where I wonder how much of this was intentional and how much of it was just luck. Like that it just came out to be. It's also very quick. It's a quick watch. It doesn't jump the shark. It doesn't go on too long. It's just enough. There's just enough character development. Every character in this, good and bad, has stakes. It's not too much. It's not this sort of philosophical doctrine. It's not deep, but it just has enough substance and enough fun to really, this movie has legs. It just holds up really well. I mean, you're talking about a movie that's ancient now, I mean, I'm 52 years old. This movie came out when I was 15.
Yeah.
Colin was 5.
Yeah.
It's still enjoyable to watch. I really wish that I watched it with Helene and Graydon, just to see, because I think my son definitely hasn't seen it. And this Helene, a 15-year-old girl in 1990, she didn't see this movie. With All Sisters.
Yeah, All Sisters. Yeah, that would have.
You know what I mean? There's no way
they didn't have a TMNT Christmas. That's a deep cut.
E.T. Christmas, baby. That would be amazing if they had
that would have been a much better Christmas than an E.T. Christmas. Holy shit. Yeah, it's funny what you say about kind of the happenstance of it seeming to just work. And again, getting back into some of the lore about the movie, apparently, there are what do they call them in TV bottle episodes? Like episodes that they do where they're running out of money, or that they want to like, they don't want as many actors. They want like one big set or whatever. Like it's a way to just mitigate and draw your money to other parts of the series. As I understand, like some of the coolest shit in the movie happened because they didn't really have the means to do it. I'm specifically talking about the whole intro sequence, which is fucking sick. I mean, to me, the intro sequence when the Foot Clan is like stealing shit from people is so good, but apparently that wasn't the original plan.
Oh, it wasn't.
There was supposed to be something like much more dynamic, and that was something. And then when they save April later on, and they throw the sai, or Raph throws the sai, it's that like was to like make it dark so that they didn't have to do anything.
So good.
Yeah, and it's
so good. It just works.
Yeah, it's like, and it's just like, it's like whatever you were planning was not going to be as good as this. And that intro, especially the establishing shots, filmed. It's filmed in 1989. Obviously, I was trying to figure out if it was fall or spring. I think fall would be too close to release, but maybe not. But it looked kind of like fall, like the trees and everything.
It definitely does. Feels like that.
And a movie we talk about that takes place in New York City all the time, or Mad Men or something that we love that takes place in New York City, but like something that we did a show on back in the day, like that I really hold near and dear, like Kramer versus Kramer, which comes up every once in a while. That's a great look at New York City in the 70s. It's not a New York I could have ever personally experienced, though. When I see this New York, I'm like, I actually was there. And I was young, but I was there. And it's not only this movie, but just things generally, when I look at them from this era, I'm like, damn, this really does look old now. Like, in terms of not the quality of it, that this is a different time, place, and era. And I didn't feel that way about the 80s and 90s until more recently. Like the 60s and 70s, and especially the 50s, like really stick out like a sore thumb. But now this does too. And that was one of the, from my perspective anyway, in 2026. But that's one of the things that I walked away from. And then I just loved getting a little taste. Like I was pausing during like the newsstand sequence because I wanted to see like what was on the newsstand. And you got to look at like Vanity Fair and the New Yorker and Town and Country and GQ and all this. And there's a ton of brands in the movie, which is cool too, like Pepsi and Domino's and stuff. And we'll get into all of that. But yeah, that intro is what I really remembered loving even as a kid. It was so tense and interesting. I love the black woman like watching the TV on the fire escape, and she just looks away for a second and the TV's gone. And the dude getting his truck robbed it's so great.
I love that shot because the camera just goes away. The truck empties, the camera goes back, and the stuff's gone.
It's super
cool.
But
it plays like, you're right, this stuff, it's economical and efficient when you think about it, but it plays like a comic book.
And I love that kind of, it's a practical effect generally. I mean, there's like people like quickly getting that shit out of there and moving it off.
But you can see the truck bouncing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people are definitely up there on the gate, like taking
But what's funny is it reminds me of a movie you love, Poltergeist. There's that famous scene of the chairs. And have you ever seen the scuttlebutt around that about like them doing that?
No.
Like, you know how the chairs are all stacked up? Like
always been fascinated with that.
Yeah,
scene.
like they do it. Like I think there might even be shots of it, but there's definitely a description of like them doing it, like them like running and like quickly so like stacking that and doing all of that. So I love that kind of shit. Like you don't have to do that kind of stuff anymore, unfortunately. A one clean cut, and you do it. So I dug that. And then what I really love about the movie is just, and we can get into this a little later, is what I would, and it's kind of timely because of where in 1990, it's got like the Wonder Years kind of thing going on. What I mean by that is Wonder Years is 88, it begins, but it gets, the great thing is you and I always talk about with the Wonder Years is it just gets like mega serious.
Yeah.
And then it's really funny. And sometimes it just happens like quickly. It's actually one of the great things about The Office, although The Office does it like much more seldom. I always think about the scene when Jim almost fights Pam's ex-boyfriend or whatever in the bar or whatever, and it's like mega serious, you know. And then Dwight says something stupid like 5 seconds later or whatever, and it's like the tension's cut. I love that.
It's really special.
This is
they really reserve it.
Right. This is a form of that. The movie is really there's like really serious things that happen, and it's surprisingly adult in some ways. The verbiage. There's like sexual innuendo and stuff like that. Definitely things not for a 5 or 6 year old. Things that I didn't really even understand when I was a kid. And I want to point out a couple of things that I think are especially funny when we get to them to see if you notice them. So there's that. And then I also like that. And again, this is the connection to the comics. And this is something that I didn't really know, especially as a kid, is I like that they decided to focus on one of them. And you would think it would be Leo because he's the leader, and he's my favorite personally, but I just like blue and I like katanas. It's really not even Leo's like personality. I just like the katanas and I like blue.
Something about Leo. The Leo people just know. They just get it.
Yeah, it's kind of like being a Ryu person.
Yeah, there's not much.
I'm sorry, Ryu.
I think Leo is too complicated to put across with one or two tropes. He's not. He's a much more complex character. I think that's why he's harder to love. Where the other ones are more cut and dry, whatever they are, the other three. Where Leo just, there's a little more fabric to him. There's a little more weave, and he's a little harder to get to the core. And I think certainly in one movie, it's hard to put that, the type A, the warrior, the one who's carrying the weight of the world a little bit. But I get it that you need more time to establish Leo and to grow to love him compared to the other ones, I think. I think that's what makes him tough. That's what makes him a tough sell.
Yeah, you're right. And they get it's cool. Another thing is they touch on everyone's kind of implied. Leo's the leader, and Donatello's like the tinkerer, and Michelangelo's the jokester, and so I like that they focus on Raph, and I really love Raphael in this, and I know you and I have always loved him in this.
So good.
The kind of the like New York accent, which I think was kind of like a invention of the voice actor, which is cool. That was not like written into the script, and this inexplicable anger. I don't really know. There's a lot unexplained in the movie, to be honest. But that's another thing I love is just the focusing on one of them and like kind of the personality of one of them and like everyone rallying around one of them. I think it's a really responsible way. And instead of having this really diluted look at all of them, they don't really do that. And I think that that's cool. You don't really get to know the others as well.
Yeah, it's not a mini series, although
Right.
a turtle mini series would be interesting, especially to establish the origins. But yeah, you don't have that kind of time. And I think what they did with this movie that's really clever, Kyle, that I never thought of before I watched it this time, is that, again, lending to like the parents having to take the kids to the theater, they're going to have to sit through this. I'm sure a lot of them thought they were going to have to suffer through it. You could come into this not knowing anything about the Turtles, and it gives you a proper origin story and set. You don't need to know anything coming into this in order to enjoy it. Now, if you knew about the Turtles and you had some knowledge coming in, then you'd probably be a little better for wear. But I don't think you could have came into this completely cold as a parent, say, or a grandparent taking their kids to the movies over the weekend and gotten something out of it. So the fact that they could do that with 4 or 5 main characters and plus the ancillary characters, good and bad, and they do a pretty good job. You know, it doesn't get too deep. It doesn't have the time to do that in an hour and 40 minutes, but I think they do a great job. But focusing on one of them because you don't have 6 hours was the clever way to do it. And I think Raph is just, the anger problem, the rage. New York's, you know what they do with Raph in this that I think is great? He always has the chip on his shoulder. He's always the loner. He wants to go off on his own. He's got the anger management problem. But what they do in this one, New York City is such a big part of the Turtles. If it's not, then set it in Chicago. Set it in Philly. Set it in any major, metropolitan U.S. city. But New York's such a big part of the Turtles. And if you're going to do that, give him that authentic Italian Bensonhurst edge, which he has in this, his swagger, the way he walks, his sarcasm. It's very, very South Bronx or Bensonhurst Italian. It just is. And that feels like New York. And the Turtles is New York. So that's what's so cool about this. And maybe we had a special kind of entree with that because we knew that world. We grew up on Long Island, but my friend John's cousins were from the South Bronx. Or, he might have had cousins from Red Hook or Bay Ridge, that very Italian, Brooklyn. So I would see these kids a couple of weekends a year, and that's what they felt like. This is a hyperbolic version of that, obviously, a little stereotypical, but it feels somehow authentic to New York. And that's what I love about this Raph. It's awesome.
Yeah, really well done.
Great performance.
Yeah, definitely. And then all the other surrounding characters, I think everyone does a really nice job. And I've always been, as you know, a massive Casey Jones fan. I just love Casey Jones, and it's this Casey Jones that I love. I just think that this version of Casey Jones is exceptional, and I just think he's so cool and so fun. And I like the little bit of that he's like an ex-hockey player is cool. That's not from the comic. That's like something they made up because I just imagine this like he gets hurt, and they kind of explain that in the movie a little bit, but that he's like some ex-Rangers player or something. I just envision him in my head that like lives in New York City and like is not on the team anymore and just busting heads. It's kind of a neat idea. I think April's awesome, and the performance, like you said, of Judith Hoag is great. And I even like the performances, generally speaking, of Danny and Charles, although their whole interplay is so funny. And I think I got the most out of them watching it as an adult, like understanding their dynamic a little bit more. So that's cool. But there's a lot to love. I mean, let's go through it. We started with the intro and that wonderful intro. One thing I'll say, and this is one thing I kept laughing about a few times throughout the movie, is like, why is the Foot Clan making it so complicated to steal things? Like, Danny steals a wallet, then like hands it off to another guy who hands it off to another guy who then like, and then like this handcuff. It's like, why don't you just steal the wallet, keep it in your pocket, and bring it to where you need to go? Like, why are you guys exposing yourselves like this? to complications. It's very cool. Like, it looks cool, but it's so silly and corny when you
That's
think about it.
hilarious. Right. It's like the middle car. Did you see The Town? Did you see Ben Affleck's The Town?
No,
Did
no,
you watch that movie?
I
Oh,
didn't.
you got to watch that movie because it's all about like criminals, like bank robbers, basically armored car robbers in Boston. And they always have a getaway car that leads to another getaway car. So they have like a burner car where they could like burn all their gear and whatever equipment they use in their clothes and then get away in the other car. So I can understand like one guy handing it off to another guy. That creates a diversion in case that first guy was seen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even if he gets caught, the loot's away with the other guy that you never even saw. But having this whole time,
and then some dude wearing like a gauntlet comes and like takes it from you.
It's good. They got something going on the foot in this movie. It's hilarious.
The other thing I want to say about the intro is just, and that kind of sequence where we're getting to know everyone is this lot of really iconic product placement that I remember, like not just product placement, like, oh yeah, but like that I remember. And the Burger King stuff in the beginning is one that I really, really remember.
So good. It's so blatant.
It is.
Even as a kid, I was like, come on.
It's so funny. I paused it to look at it, like absorb it, and I didn't even realize the guy on the left also has Burger King, and he has like fries too, and all the rest. But it's that classic Whopper box and that old Burger King logo. It's a different Burger King, man. Burger King kind of sucks now. You know, like that was a Burger King that was a player. You know, totally
a different. I mean, the post 2000 ad campaign with the creepy king and everything they've done since then. Brilliant, low key brilliant.
Yeah, funny, definitely.
But definitely a different era for Burger King where they don't feel like a player anymore.
Yeah, they were like the Pepsi to McDonald's Coke, but now they're kind of like just an irrelevant side player.
Also,
I want to like Burger King, but
me too.
But I feel like, and I do like Burger King. Like when you get good Burger King, I've talked about this a lot on different shows. Like I've been around a couple of good Burger Kings in my life, and they're great. One was in Boston at Northeastern.
You talk about that one.
Yeah, like I loved that. I used to like Ramona and I used to like live at that fucking Burger King. They were great. But then there was a shitty one at like a gas station, and I told you that like it like exploded in a fucking fireball, like when something happened at the gas station in San Francisco, down the street from Patreon. And it's just like it's always awful. And then when we were coming back from our cousin Junior's wedding in South Carolina, we stopped at like some random, suburban Burger King, and it sucked.
It was bad.
Like
they've always been known for that inconsistency. They've always been known for it.
When have you ever seen a Whopper that looked anything like
Sloppy Whopper?
Yeah, Sloppy Whopper. I knew a girl named Sloppy Whopper.
I can't. Dude, I was thinking about you and Dustin specifically, though, because did you hear about the Burger King in Pittsburgh? This is relatively new, like within the last year. There was a Burger King on the west side of Pittsburgh, I think, somewhere downtown, where it was just notoriously terrible to the point where Burger King pulled their franchise. But somehow the restaurant stayed open.
Oh, so this is the place that was still serving things, but like
serving Burger King, but it wasn't a sanctioned Burger King anymore. But they kept the signage until Burger King stopped supplying them. So they started serving everything in like Dixie cups, and it became more and more generic. Then it got to the point where they were serving like store-bought dino nuggets and stuff like it wasn't even like Burger King food anymore.
I did read about this. Yeah, this is fun.
And they lasted like that for like over a year. And to the point where people would just go because it would be hilarious how bad your food would be. And I was thinking about that when Burger King's all over this movie. But I thought that was so hilarious. That if I knew that was happening and that you would go into this Burger King that clearly wasn't a Burger King in decor, in the food, I would definitely go just to experience that. Because that's hilarious to me. That they're still trying to kind of pawn it off as a Burger King, even though it is clearly not a Burger King, despite the signs outside. Hilarious.
I remember there was a claim about a Chipotle a few years ago. I don't know if it was true or not, but it was like making the rounds about like how they were serving their own food too. Like they had like all the Chipotle food, but they also had like mac and cheese and like random shit.
I think that's hilarious. I think that's worth the trip at least once just to kind of witness that, because that's funny. That's just, to me, that's that's an experience. But but Burger King with this, like, it makes you as a 15-year-old remember like, oh, it'd be pretty cool to be a foot trainee, like fast food, video games, skateboarding. It's like the Lost Boys in there.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's ridiculous. It is like the Lost Boys. It's super and it makes a little more like it seems so outrageous and it is so silly, like the way they all are like where are your parents? Like Danny has a dad who cares about him. I don't know where they never did it. Maybe in the comics they get into what happened to Danny's mom. I don't know. They're divorced.
Yeah, I
I guess,
don't know. I don't remember that. I was thinking about that too. Obviously, some kind of broken homes.
I'd like to think that she
Divorce.
passed away that way. You know, not it's sad for Danny, but it would just make a more dynamic character. That's
Yeah.
not like he's totally, you know, fucked up or whatever. But and Charles is obviously a screwed up character too. But it's like you wonder about like where is everyone? Like, what is this place? How are you doing this? Where is the electricity coming from? The other thing I was laughing about is that like when they show them going through the electronics, that's during the Burger King section, and I'm like, why? Why are you taking everything out of the boxes? Right. But like, isn't it easier to transport and like go? There's just so much there's so much about the Foot Clan I'm confused about. Where I'm like, you're making even Shredder caring about the turtles is weird. Where like I wrote my notes. I'm like, why do you care?
Yeah, he doesn't even know who Splinter is until the end.
Yeah, it's like right. Yeah, like 10 minutes before the end of the movie, he like puts it all together, and even then, it's like things are going. You have to. Dude, you're going to have to amortize some losses in your business. Like every once in a while, someone's going to get pinched. Like something's going to, it can't be flawless. You're bringing so much heat to yourself. It's so funny. It's so interesting. But yeah, the Burger King stuff and then them opening all the packages. Yeah, I guess you want to get rid of the boxes and all of the rest, but it's like now you have all this new merchandise. So you're just going to stack up the VCRs like without the it's kind of nonsensical really in a way. And they want all this new stuff, but then they'll steal that woman's TV, black and white TV from the 60s that she's watching on the fire escape.
Her fire escape. It's amazing.
I always see shit like that and I'm like, were people really watching TV outside like that? Because that's like, I've never even thought about doing that, but I guess that's the thing people did, you know, on the porch.
Yeah. And it's tied up to the thing. Yeah, because it's before the days of outside projectors and, you know.
Well, yeah, you didn't need cable. You really just needed, and that's the whole important thing is you needed just a power. That's it.
Yeah.
And then your ears would pick up the signal or whatever.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, but they wanted, they'll take the new Hitachi VCRs in those days, but then her like TV from 1964, they want that too. Like,
yeah, they want it all.
No stone is unturned.
They want it all. I do like how, I think it's neat. It's a little silly, but again, I mean, this is about turtles that crawl around in ooze and become ninjas, and they're taught by a rat, who was taught by watching his master and then replicating his moves in his cage in Japan. So it's like it's all a little strange, but
and the exposition is strange, but you're still just kind of along for the ride. You know what I mean? It's a little cheesy, sometimes crossing over into a lot cheesy, but for some reason it's charming.
It's incredible. Oh my God, it's incredibly charming because it's well done. I mean, it's like a thin line between like what would work and what wouldn't, or what could work and what couldn't. And I think they nail that here. The other kind of thing we see near the beginning of the movie is what happens with April when she's assaulted outside of by the Foot Clan. She finds them robbing some truck. They don't seem too stealthy there. Yeah. And so they go to rough her up when they see her, and then Raphael comes in. Well, actually, they all come and save the day. That's when Raphael throws his sai at the light and loses one of his sais.
So good. I love that scene so much.
And yeah, I think it's a great scene. So you just hear what happens.
It just goes dark. I have this theory, Colin. Maybe you know more about this, but I have this theory. The only other piece of media that I watched was the Red Letter Media review, which I think is Mike and Jay.
Oh, they reviewed this? I have to watch that. I didn't even know
that.
I must have
not that long ago, like a few years ago. And the one other dude that pops up once in a while, he's actually a DC comic artist who's done runs on some of the Ninja Turtles books. And he's talking about it because he knows Kevin Eastman and stuff like that. So he had a little
because Eastman comes back, right? Like,
yeah, he's more involved in fits and starts.
Like he was the one that left first, and then he's the one that came back, right?
Came back and was kind of like a thing where like his love affair with the thing he co-created was rekindled, where Laird largely stayed out of it. And now it's a whole thing with Paramount and, you know, the Skydance merger, and like the it's so boring. But like that's what's so charming about this movie. Before this was like a media, you know, a multi-billion-dollar media franchise. This is still in its relatively modest, beginnings. But he was saying that, and again, you might be able to lend a little more knowledge to this because I don't know, but I have a feeling they made this movie a little darker and steered a little closer to the comic books, and then goofified it in the ADR and the sound effects to come later. In other words, that scene where the lights crash and then they kind of just, it goes dark and you hear them fighting. I have a feeling it wasn't that goofy with the Three Stooges and the cowbunga and the whoa and all that kind of stuff. I have a feeling they added that stuff back in to lighten it a little bit, right? Like maybe I don't know why I even think that, but I feel like maybe they were getting a little too gritty and then steered it back in order to make it a little more appealing to kids again, with little touches like that you could do in post. By the way,
I think you're probably right, because I'm sure you saw this and read about this too, is that there is a commonality between, I think, people that were around the movie and even worked on the movie or were in the movie, that they were surprised by how violent it was. And I'm like, I watch it and I'm like, violent?
it's really
it's like, I don't even know what you're talking. Like, I'm sorry, this is like G.I. Joe violence. And for people that don't know what I mean, it's like no one ever dies. There's in fact a moment later in the movie where there is a Duke, like, all right, so a little lore. G.I. Joe movie, Duke was clearly supposed to die. Everyone knows that. And they VO to, like, he's like in a coma, right? Because everyone couldn't believe it. And this is because in the Transformers movie, they basically killed everybody. And people were fucking flipping out. And of course, they wanted to do this. I mean, you can see it from their perspective where they're like, we want new toys. Like, we need new characters. And it was the same thing with Duke and all that. But I don't think they realized it's like, you just don't need to kill them. They can just... It's like, there's a famous run in the G.I. Joe comics, I don't know if you remember, where like a Saw Viper like kills a bunch of characters. And it's like a notorious thing. I think he kills like random characters, like Deep Six or something, and like whatever. And I'm like, Jesus, you don't really need to, or whoever. It's like a famous like run in the comics. I don't know. It's funny, I think they realized at some point, like, you could just make version 2 of Megatron.
Right.
And then you can also have all the other characters that you want. You don't need to kill them. So by the time the G.I. Joe movie came out, they were going to kill Duke, who was like the main character.
So weird.
And again, you could tell like what they were trying to do. It's like we need someone like other characters now. And TMNT, I think, resisted doing that. But there's this is all a lead up into saying that there's a moment when later on when the Foot Clan fails and they go back to their hideout, and one of them is clearly killed.
Oh,
and then you see, if you think about it, like when Tatsu or whatever that guy's name is, beats the shit out of that kid, I think he's supposed to be dead.
Oh, and they say he's okay. He's okay.
Yeah, and I think that's the way a lot of people,
screen.
Right. And then they say something off screen like, he'll be all right.
Right.
Or something like that.
I think you're right. I think you might be right. Holy shit. Yeah, so they might have treading a little too dark and then had to pull it back.
And that's fine.
And I just get that feel. And that's fine. It doesn't bother me because it just reminds me of the Turtles that we know from TV and the whole surfer dude pizza thing. That's part of the Turtles that we know. And that was part of the Turtles of the origins of, I think to a certain degree in the comic book that was definitely exaggerated for the pop culture media. But that was certainly something that seemed authentic just because we knew that that's the world that it came out of anyway. It doesn't bother me. They're teenagers. So they should be acting like teenagers.
It's funny that they're teenagers, but then like, Raphael especially, he acts like he's like a 45-year-old like divorcee.
That's the thing that makes him stand out.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like even him like going, they're supposed to be 15, I think, or at least Splinter says that I think 15 years ago they encountered each other or whatever.
I think you're right about that.
They might age differently as turtles or whatever. I don't know. I mean, but it's funny. Like he's like, I'm gonna go see a movie, and then he dresses like a fucking 50s detective, and and that's actually like one of the. Well, first we finally meet Splinter. I'll say this. I was never a huge Splinter fan, like in the cartoons or anything like that. I had the figure because you felt like you had to have him. It's kind of like when you buy Princess Leia or something like that. It's like, well, you kind of have to have this figure to like make the scenes right.
Yeah, makes sense.
I find him incredibly appealing in this movie. There's something, they basically have him strung up like Jesus Christ at the end of the movie, being crucified against the fence. It's hard not to feel bad for him. But he's
still trying to help somebody, by the way.
Exactly.
Hanging there.
I want to talk about that because I'm like, what do you even do? Like, what kind of reverse psychology? Like, you have to be delirious right now. Like, what do you? And, but he reads so well. That's the one thing I was so I was like really watching it and looking for the seams, and you can kind of see the seams with the turtles where they'll interact and kind of poke each other or whatever, and you can see them the shell bend or like because it's rubber, right?
Yeah.
But it's like that's so quick. You're looking for it, but like with Splinter, I'm like, this is really good. And I think one of the things that they do really well is this is such a weird thing, but like moisture. Like he's always wet and grimy and dirty. The turtles are always wet, grimy, and kind of like, and there's just something that reads really well about that. So in watching that and really studying the movie a little bit more closely, I was like, that whole scene where I love it. Leo runs in, like they all run in and they have their first fight, their first big victory. But then he like crosses his legs and like sits in front of them and like Splinter tries to like impart them. And one of the things I love is that Michelangelo is just in the background reading the yellow pages, which I think is so funny and something I just didn't pick up on when I was younger. Obviously, it all ends with him calling, but I didn't realize like from the very beginning he's like has the phone book in his hand and is like looking for the pizza spot, which I love. And they do like their weird meditative dancing thing. I was gonna say the pizza guy coming. So Domino's Pizza, not much has changed. $13. So they give him a $10 bill, $13 for that pizza. In 1989, 1990, it's fairly expensive.
I thought so too.
I never made that, maybe because I wasn't paying for pizza at that time, but it's like, and no tip.
No tip.
And like, he didn't even care. In fact, he was saying like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Dude, that neighborhood?
Yeah.
Guy's risking life and limb.
I mean, that's the thing that's an important part of this too, is that New York City at this point was kind of coming at it. But when they were writing it in the early 80s and putting it together, New York was it was bad.
It was bad.
But we did the Warriors, you and I, like back in 2020, I think. That's New York City at like its peak. It's not, the Warriors isn't real, of course, but like that era of like late 70s into like 1980 is like
grime.
That's like the worst part of New York City. Like
pure grime.
I always think about like that movie Arthur and other things like that really show like the opulence alongside like the horrible nature of New York City.
Yeah.
Like knowing what New York was at the time, but then seeing shit like that.
Yes. The Upper East Side's down to like what downtown used to look like. Yeah.
Giuliani coming in, which I think happened in 92, is what turned everything around in New York City. And so this is before that. And so they do it's a dangerous spot. It all makes sense. There's that scene where Charles is looking out of April's window and he says something like, "What's going on out there, April?" And I love that scene because it's like, it's scary even for them. And they're used to this horrible situation.
Yeah, they live there.
Which I think is kind of cool. So when we find Raphael leaving the movie theater, how does no one know?
I love it.
Even Casey's like, "What are you, some punker? I'm like, are you fucking blind? Like, what do you think this is? This is either the most expensive suit you've ever seen in your life, or there's something really mysterious going on here. But this is a scene you and I absolutely have adored and have quoted many times over the years. And it's Casey Jones at his best. Just absolute. I just love it. I love his look. I was making Mike was like laughing because I was like, dude, I used to like take an old golf bag and like put whatever we had in it. Like a goalie stick and like
I remember you doing that. Can I just tell you?
And
did she watch with you?
Yeah, she watched it. Yeah.
First time she's ever seen it.
Yeah, she's never seen it. She doesn't like the turtles though. Like she has, I don't know what, maybe an ex of hers was into it or something, and she like I was overexposed to it. I don't really know exactly what that was, but she doesn't like it. I understand when I see the newer turtles, assuming that's what she's talking about, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't like that either. So I'm not judging you too much about that, but but this Casey Jones scene with Raphael is interesting, and this obviously intertwines them so that it makes sense when Casey Jones kind of makes sense, I guess, when he comes back into the movie later on. But of course, the Jose Canseco bat reference and cricket. Nobody understands cricket, which is true. No one does understand cricket. And they just beat the shit out of each other. Otherwise,
so good. Two vigilantes.
What's that noise Raphael's making when he gets into the garbage can? It's like a ridiculous, like I don't know what they were thinking with that. Yeah,
it's anger. It's just like unbridled anger. It's just a weird flavor of anger. But that's what I got. I mean, it's two vigilantes. Casey Jones is a weird character, right? He's a vigilante clearly, but he's like a sports themed vigilante. He's iconic now because we've had him around for so long, and his look and the Jason mask and the golf bag with the variety of sports equipment. But he's a weird character. That's what's so cool about this movie, though, whether it's Elias Codius or Judith Hogue or the guy who plays Chief Stearns or the guy who plays Charles or the kid who plays Danny. Everybody brings it. Like their performances are really good. And I think this is pre MCU $1 billion, every actor or actress would die to have a part in a Marvel movie or be on the Avengers. Like this was a weird, first of all, they were probably working for close to scale. That's first of all. Second of all, it's like in 1990, the nerd culture thing didn't take off yet. So to actually bring your best acting chops to this part and not just phone it in, I mean, these performances add a lot of gravitas to the movie. And yeah, I think Elias Codius, I mean, before we see him doing everything on the big screen and the small screen and his little part in Sopranos and how good he is and what a classically trained actor he is, this is a proper portrayal that makes you buy this character. And I love the chemistry between him. I've heard people say the chemistry between him and Judith Hogue is really good and believable. And I think that's true. But his chemistry, Casey's chemistry with the Turtles on a friendship level really works. It just really, really works as a character. He's like kind of like the fifth turtle. This is a loner too. So his arc to be kind of a part of this crime fighting team, this satellite part of this crime fighting team, instead of this guy who just goes it up by himself. It's kind of neat. But I love this portrayal. Like, it's just like I think that's what makes it so good and makes it hold up, because it's just classic acting is timeless. It doesn't matter if it was 40 years ago. You know, it's still great.
And this actor is so recognizable, Elias Codius or whatever his name is.
He does so much.
He's just got a very recognizable face. And yeah, when you look at his filmography, I mean, this guy just works a lot.
And he's good.
Yeah, he is good. He is good. And
good character actor.
So you've definitely seen him in a bunch of things, but I'm trying to see. I have too many things open. I think it's taking too long. All right.
Yeah, so, he's the guy. Do you remember the episode of Sopranos? Because it might only be one episode. I don't know if he's an AA guy but he stages Christopher's intervention.
Oh,
and he's the one that Paulie keeps threatening.
Disgusting.
Yeah. And he's like, "Whoa, guys! I thought we weren't being judgmental." Like he's in that episode, but he might only be in that one episode.
Yeah,
but
Dominic
he's in
Paladino, the strong silent type, is the episode.
Great episode.
49th episode of the show.
That's a great bottle episode. But he's in most of it, and he's so good in it.
Yeah, he is good. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even realize that was him. I love that. Just because my friends and I used to quote that episode all the time. When Sill's reading it's Sill, right? That reads the letter. It's so good. Or is it Paulie? No, I think it's.
They all read.
Yeah,
but Silvio's is like particularly judgmental.
Yeah, and he reads it like very curtly. It's so God. That show. That's another show. I always say that about that show is that show is so fucking funny. Like,
so good, dude.
And then they'll fucking murder someone in the most brutal thing you've ever seen in your life. Beat the shit out of someone or whatever.
Yeah, but this movie does do that. I mean, it's not on the dramatic level of Sopranos, obviously, but it definitely peppers in the comedy in a very strategic, very, really a very professional way. Like it really has a great sort of style and rhythm to the writing, which is rare for a movie of this era that would be taking basically making a live action thing out of a cartoon. Maybe let's just call it what it was. It just happens to have come out great.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome that happened. We meet April and Charles at some point. We go to her apartment. I love her. We see her apartment much more intimately when the Turtles end up over there. But I love that scene. It's like classic, like gritty New York. Like you live wherever, whatever fucking building you can find to live in. So we see them, and Danny robs her, obviously, during that time, which is nice. Danny's such a pleasant boy. I love Charles's comment about like his headphones and where there are little things that I just didn't pick up on as a kid. That's the one thing I thought about this movie too, Dig, is that like obviously movies are all about stringing things together and making things important. That's Seinfeldian. Oh, this is very important later, and this comes up in the most key way you can possibly imagine, kind of thing. They don't do anything quite like that, but everything just kind of is strung through nicely. For instance, at this point in the movie, we meet Stearns, the corrupt NYPD police chief. What do you think about this guy? So like, he's inept, obviously, but he keeps his job at the end of the movie, I guess. Like he's interrogating everyone, but he's blackmailing a reporter. And, which is this whole thing. I just don't remember this about the movie, like this particular thing about. I was trying to remember like how does like Danny I know sells them out and stuff like that. But like how is this all connected to Charles and it's that Charles is trying to get April off the story on behalf of the cops.
Right.
And this is like kind of a fairly complicated arc especially for a children's movie. Um, but the Stearns character is pretty interesting nonetheless. But how do you read him? Is he corrupt or is he incompetent or is he both?
Yeah, you know what's funny? I think it's pressure. It's like this domino effect of pressure because I think it's intimated that Chief Stearns is getting pressure from the mayor's office to put pressure on the news, on that newsroom or that whatever broadcast service that is, to stop making the police look bad. So it's this pressure that's handed down. So Chief Stearns is kind of on the hot seat because the mayor is putting him on the hot seat, which is putting Charles on the hot seat to say, take your best reporters off this or try to, make it look like the police are doing a better job and not inept and all that kind of thing. But April can't have that because she's this dedicated reporter and she's got her professional integrity and all that kind of stuff. But that's what the kind of cool thing is that everybody has stakes. Charles is getting this pressure. He's also got a son who's in trouble. It's like he's putting a lot of pressure on April. You kind of hate him because you like April, but then you kind of understand his perspective. There's a lot of unnecessary things in here that probably didn't need to be in a kid's movie. Like you said, it's obviously a little odd for a kid's movie, but it gives it more texture than it really needed. And that's kind of what makes it kind of neat. I mean, this movie kind of plays like, this is pre-NYPD Blue and post-Hill Street Blues, but it kind of plays like a Hill Street Blues episode.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Right? It feels like a gritty New York, with the police. They're trying to do a good job. The mayor's office is coming down. They got this crime problem that they can't really deal with. It seems like, it's kind of these people are operating above the law. They seem not to be able to control it. You got the news people, trying to crack the case, but they're getting pressure from both sides. So it's like all these crazy things. But what's kind of cool? It's not a distraction because obviously we're in it for the Turtles. We want to see the four of them. That's who we're really rooting for. But you don't mind this other stuff. They don't take you away from the main action for too long. It just gives it a little more texture. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, it is neat. And I love the press release when she's busting his balls, asking him to, would you mind repeating it in English, perhaps? Very good. And there's that cool shot too of Shredder. I think it's the first time you see Shredder in the movie. Actually, he's like watching the TV. He's like, where even is he watching all this? Is he in the security booth or something?
Oh, with all the screens.
Yeah, and he just throws the knife at the screen. Love that. That's a really cool shot.
So good.
Yeah. We do learn an important plot point here that I wanted to kind of get back to because I think this is an interesting part of the story and wraps in the kind of like maybe the immigrant kind of experience in New York City, just generally speaking about the importance that consistently new populations of people play in the politics and the social fabric of the city is that Japanese immigrants are reminded of something. These things happened in Japan and, back in, the decades ago, maybe right after the war or whatever. And this is why Stearns isn't taking it very seriously because he's like, these immigrant, like, what do they know basically? It is a little funny though that like what reminds you of that experience? Things getting stolen? Like,
yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, and you're in New York City and things are getting in like the worst part of New York City ever in terms of generationally in terms of its crime and you see things getting stolen and you're like, you know what? This is a lot like what used to happen back in Japan.
Wait a second. Are the Foot the Yakuza, like some form of the Yakuza, like, but they're not because it's like some ninja thing that dates back.
Oh, that's true, right? Because
generations.
That's true. Yeah,
right. But it's the same type of thing where it's like, yeah, they do intimate that it's like this thing that's existed for many generations, and this is just the most recent form of it, and it's now domestic to the United States. It's crossed the pond. The disease has crossed the pond or whatever. But it's, again, that's very vague.
It's just one of those little funny things where I'm like, okay. It's cool because it's cool. It's like a cool little plot line. But when you think about it too much, it's like, well.
Right.
So April ultimately gets reamed out by Stearns, and there's that shot where she like gives the keys to her cameraman and tells him the time or whatever and whatever.
Love that shit.
That was that guy. Maybe I like to think that was that guy's big break. That actor.
I wonder what he went on to do.
Yeah, who knows?
He was even good though. You know what I mean? Like, there's no bad. It's like he has this little part in this movie that nobody thought would be anything, for all intents and purposes, and he's even good. You know, it's like that's what I love about it. Everybody's very believable, even her crew and her cameraman and everything. It's really, I love the acting in this. I mean, it's definitely impressive. It's for some reason, I don't know why, it just holds up.
She from here finds her way back to the subway dig. She misses her train, so she has to wait for the next one. Obviously, a very vulnerable place for a woman to be. And then Miss O'Neill. The foot,
little racist.
Yeah, little. Well, maybe, I was going to say a little casual
racist.
racism from April because.
Oh, right.
Because she's like, am I behind on my Sony payments again or whatever? And I'm like, whoa,
great.
Whoa.
April, we thought you were better than that. We thought you were above this. You know what I love about that part, Colin, though? It feels so realistic. Did you ever run down, maybe in Boston, in New York, you run down to the subway platform and you just miss it?
Oh, yeah, dude, all the time.
Just a ghost town.
Yeah.
Because every single person got on the train.
It's
such a realistic portrayal of what that feels like.
Yeah, and it is very vulnerable. Like in San Francisco, some of the, when the train goes underground, there's like some Van Ness and Civic Center. Like these are fucking dicey spots. You don't want to. You don't want to be waiting for too long on. You might want to just get on any train you can, and just go somewhere else. But yeah, I know that exact thing. I was so obsessed because even when you were probably taking mass transit, I mean, this is obviously a common thing now. Everyone knows this, but. From uni in San Francisco, like when they started tracking the times and you can like go on your phone. Well, it used to be like, on a little digital board. And then you can, when smartphones came out, you can go on and so timing and then every once in a while there'd be like a ghost train that would be on it and like wouldn't never come. And then the time would reset and everyone would be pissed off and
ghost train.
It would say, like 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes. And then it would be like 1 minute, nothing would come. And then it would just go back to like the next train. It's like, what the fuck was that? Strange. All right.
That's funny. So, I'll tell you, I haven't been in New York for so long. I don't know when the last time you were in New York to ride the subways, or maybe for the live show. That was only a couple.
Yeah, that was the last time I was in New York.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was in town one night. It wasn't that long ago, 2 months ago, and I didn't know, because I'm not in New York anymore, that you have full functionality on your cell phone now in the subways.
Wow. Yeah.
You could, because I know New Yorkers tried to make that not a thing for a long time because of the aggravation of people being, talking on their cell phones.
Oh, I see.
Not getting a break from it. Like they basically on the whole wanted it so you couldn't use them down there, which I think is a security thing. Like I would worry about that in New York. I'd rather have the service down there, but New Yorkers didn't want to be aggravated by people talking on their phone. That was the one respite from, but now, yeah, fully operate. I was really surprised about that because I took a train from Penn Station all the way down to World Trade. So that's a pretty long train ride, and it was working fine. Yeah. So I don't know. That was a surprise to me.
Yeah, I remember in San Francisco when you finally got to like the subway, like the tunnels, like when you were starting to get into the city, that you had to like pull up your websites that you needed or like things you were reading because you would just not have cell service anymore.
You'd lose it. Yeah.
LTE probably solved that. So Raphael fights the Foot Clan here by himself, and April's all fucked up. So she takes, I like this whole scene of like her taking the Psy out and it quickly like getting kicked out of her hand. But then Raphael is reunited with the Psy, realizes it's, the same woman. She's all, she knows anyway because she's famous in the city as a reporter. And then Miss O'Neill gets carried back to
shut it.
Shut it. Yeah. But yeah, put the hand out, slap right in the face.
That wasn't right.
Not very nice. But they go back to the hideout, but they're trailed by a foot soldier who lets them know the location. This is obviously going to be catastrophic soon enough. But I like them. I like April being there and thinking she's dreaming. And this is when they start telling like the stories of the origin stories of the Turtles and the Ooze and Splinter. And they get more and more into this. I think it's in the second of those scenes where they show Splinter copying the moves of his master or whatever. And it's so cute. Like the little rat animatronic thing or whatever that they have going. He's like punching and kicking.
Shout out.
It's so fun.
Shout out to the practical. You couldn't even do it digital back then. It's like Frank Oz Yoda. It's like you want it to be better now in retrospect, but there's just something so damn charming about it that you would have it no other way.
Yeah, I feel like Yoda's still. I mean, I haven't watched Empire or Jedi in a long time, but they they still hold up really well.
It's so good. It just works.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. And that's a bit of a weakness in this movie, I think, too, is they filmed they did a lot of shots in New York City, like establishing shots and all the rest. And I think a few things, like they must have done that shot where Danny runs out of the car in New York with Charles and a few other things, right? Like that's not a
There's
set.
definitely some live, whether it's exteriors or scenes like that, but there's
Right.
definitely some soundstage stuff too, which is,
There's a lot of
like,
soundstage stuff.
kind of a mixture. I wish they filmed some of those exteriors, like the pizza scene and all that kind of stuff, on real exterior New York streets. But there's something about the cartooniness and the exaggeration of those sets with the rain and how grimy everything is and how dark the lighting is just right, the atmosphere, that it's kind of more charming, I think, the way they went with it ultimately, which was, of course, a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
than it would have been filming on location.
I think it makes, because I think that there are, so I was thinking about that, like so the Danny scene seems like it was like the Danny Charles car scene seemed like it was filmed
100%.
somewhere, and then I think the Casey Jones running down the street. I love that silhouette of him running down the street after and I think that's in New York. Like the whole critter scene might not be, but like that looked like that was maybe shot in New York City.
Yeah, the Raph Casey with the two thugs, like Raph and Casey's first meeting, really looks like Central Park West. If that's not Central Park West and that's a set, that's really well done. Because I could tell you exactly where that is.
But most of it is filmed in North Carolina, and that's fine. And so like I was
right.
making fun of it a little bit with Mike because I'm like, yes, some of the sets are not great, and it makes the city feel small. Like there's that cool shot of Raphael on the building, like on the roof of the building, that I think is a real shot of a real building, and you see him overlooking. That's another shot that they definitely did in New York. But then they go back to that roof, I think, multiple times. Like even the final fight, I think, takes place, and everything seems so small. Like it's always nighttime, it's gritty, it's raining, and it doesn't feel like New York really. Like where is everyone? Where are everything's run down, and that's somewhat accurate, but they did a generally a nice job. I mean, for on a shoestring budget, even at that time of $13 or $14 million, whatever it was, it's well done. But yeah, I wish that they did more. I was thinking the same thing, that like some of that would have really played well if they just did it for real in New York. But I guess they wanted to pinch pennies and
and listen, it doesn't help the Michael Bay versions when they film it really on location and stuff. And then for a movie that feels so cartoony like this one, it kind of works. Like me and Helene are finally watching. Helene's finally watching Mad Men for the first time.
Oh, cool.
And we're still in the first season, but already you could tell the scenes that are really filmed on location versus sets. And in Mad Men, it doesn't work as well because you really want that. It's a proper drama. Like you want to feel like you're in the place. But in a movie like this, you could kind of suspend disbelief and just make it fun. And, maybe that was a better way to stylize this exterior rather than try to shoot in a place and then dealing with the noise and shutting down streets in New York and the practicality of it. So for this, I could forgive it. With Mad Men, it's funny to go back in and see it now where it's like, wow, some of that stuff is really not that well done. I'm sure it gets better as the seasons go on. There's 7 seasons, but that's an interesting thing.
So ultimately they leave with April from the lair after we meet Splinter, and they go back to her apartment. We learn a little bit more about where she lives. Ultimately, we later find out that we know she lives above an antique store, but apparently it was her dad's, like, antique store or whatever. And so she owns the building, I guess. So
that's what it seems like.
Yeah. So pretty nice. Now I wonder what the insurance payout's going to be when things ultimately go to shit, because there's a lot of goods in there, maybe some valuables, but probably nothing too valuable, and probably what she wanted all along. If you look at it, it's like now she probably lives they probably rebuilt a very nice building there.
Oh, you might be right.
Or she could sell that land. I mean, that's prime real estate, right?
I mean, now what is that? The meatpacking district? It's like super expensive now.
So everything worked out for April, I think, financially. But there's this weird scene, like they're eating pizza and doing impersonations or whatever, and then they end up leaving. This was one of the first things that I thought was, well, not first thing. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff, but why does April lean against the door when they leave, like a guy just left?
Yeah,
she like loves. I thought that was kind of a weird.
It's a little weird. It's a little, it's like, yeah, like that heart, like a heart throb,
Yeah,
like the typical, like backing up against the door, like that guy was so dreamy.
right.
If you watch, I thought the same thing, Kyle. I had a feeling you were going to bring this up, but her expression stays just neutral enough that you could forgive it. Like she doesn't like roll her eyes and sigh. Like she just stops short of that. It's still weird.
It's like April.
It's still weird.
They're 15 and they're turtles.
And there's 4 of them. It's
Mhm.
like, it doesn't stop being weird. It's weird for like several reasons, you know? Yeah, it's really strange.
But ultimately, the turtles end up coming back because, as we said earlier, the base has been found in the sewers, and Splinter has been kidnapped. They don't show Splinter getting kidnapped, really. They show the Foot Clan going in there, but I wonder if they rough him up a little bit. Yeah,
I mean,
does he fight back? He can't really do it, I guess. At that point, he's kind of quite meager. But
could they have? Let me ask you a
Yeah,
question
okay.
about Splinter. This is something I really wanted to pick your brain about, because we talked about how charming the puppetry is and whatever little stop motion bits, all the practical stuff. But do you think they could have handled Splinter like the Turtles, like a man in suit type thing? Now you think he doesn't really need to be, because he's old. He's the guru. He doesn't need to be dynamic and fighting for the most part and having that, you know, that breadth of movement. But isn't that even more, all the more reason to kind of put him in a suit, a guy in a suit, whether it's a little person or a young person or a full-fledged person, whatever, like
full-fledged person.
full-sized,
Yeah,
full-sized person.
Exactly.
But what could you have done that and made it less egregious and you know, took a little bit of that cheese factor out? Like, I'm not just talking about the rooftop scene at the end, because you're right, for the most part he's seen in either a sewer or he's imprisoned in the warehouse. So
Yeah.
like you could have him sweating or with the beads of moisture.
He's being strung up, or he's in the sewer.
He's always in some dark interior, so, and he doesn't really have to move around that much. So you kind of get why you could pull it off with the Jim Henson puppetry or whatever. But maybe a guy in a suit would have been better. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't I've always been so like one thing I've always been confused about, it's like I think about Kenny Baker and R2D2 and I'm like, you didn't need to put anyone in that thing. Like, what are you doing? You know?
Seriously.
Like, why did you put him in there? Was it like a joke? Like, you guys were just fucking with him?
All you had to do was turn his head.
Yeah, exactly.
It just swiveled.
So it's like I feel a similar thing where I'm like, you don't really need to have anyone in there. I also
Kenny Baker. I mean, jobs for little people. I mean, that's good. I'm not against it.
I always thought that even when I was younger. I'm like, why is anyone even in that thing? It's an RC car. Like 3PO, I understand. But anyway, so yeah, I just think that they probably didn't need to do that. There is a little bit, he has a little bit more action at the end of the movie when he makes Shredder look fucking stupid. And then he's trying to talk to Shredder, and we'll get to that or whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we will.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I would say like this level of hesitance to do that or whatever, or restraint, let's say, it allows us to avoid the Yoda bouncing all over the screen fighting thing, right?
Good point.
You don't want the kinetics to be too crazy, where I still think in Star Wars, that's the shittiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, out of all of the Star Wars things, was Yoda fighting with a lightsaber until Leia came back to life.
Yes.
I'll
agree with that.
Yeah. So like, you want to be, so a little restraint ties your hands creatively, which could be bad, but in this case, I think it's fine. What did they do with him in the other movies? I don't even remember.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I don't know. But I agree. I agree. Know your limits. And it also, retrospectively, I think it's nice because it really lends itself to this era of puppetry. That's what you'd expect to see in a 1990s film. I think even post Dark Crystal, I think Henson wanted to do more of this kind of stuff. I don't want to say realistic, but more gritty sort of practical effects that weren't, you know, Muppet Show and Sesame Street puppets. They wanted to do more realistic, you know, fabricated things that were more in the fantasy realm. So that lends to that sort of thing too, I think.
So the other thing I wanted to say about this scene before I go, because I said I had something else funny to say about this, is like, so Charles, the turtles come over, Splinter is kidnapped. Splinter. And then, which has a quote from like we've been saying that forever. Like that's
who says that? Is that
it's
Leo?
Yeah, I think it's Leo. Maybe it's Donatello, but I think it's Leo.
Splinter.
So they come back, they're sleeping over or whatever, April's place, and then Charles and Danny come back through. And this scene is funny because, well, we understand at this point that Stearns is trying to blackmail Charles over Danny's criminal behavior.
Yes.
In order to kind of get that, to get that overlooked. He's kind of, to get the mayor off of his back. He's trying to get April off of their back and so on and so forth. So it's all interconnected. It's actually quite clever, but there is a very funny thing. And I don't know if you noticed this. When Danny leaves, he definitely checks out April's tits.
I didn't see.
You got to look at it.
I know the scene.
He walks by her, stares right down. And I'm like, all right. So am I misinterpreting this? Is that supposed to be that? Because it's to me, it seems so obvious. And
how did I not notice this?
Yeah, I wonder if like anyone else has ever noticed that. I could just be because she's like she's like in her nightgown but she's not like overexposed in any way.
You know what I love about this?
Yeah,
this wasn't even written in as part of the thing. This was just a teenager checking out Judith Hogue.
Yeah, just feeling like
and getting caught on camera.
Damn, girl. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
I'm gonna ask in TMNT, does Danny check out April's chest?
That's amazing.
AI overview. Based on the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, the character Danny Pennington does not check out April O'Neil's chest.
It's just you being a pervert? I don't know. I gotta check this out.
You guys tell me.
She is cute. I mean, Judith Hogue is cute, but what's cool about this version of April is not just like the news reporter in the low cut yellow raincoat. Like she looks more like a human being. Like she's not always seen in the same outfit.
Right, exactly.
It's not a cartoon.
She's 26 in the movie, so she's pretty young.
Oh, she's pretty young in this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And how old would be Elias? So he would be, Casey Jones would be like 29, or at least the person who played him.
Okay. All right. I'll buy that.
Raymond Serra as chief as the chief. Let's see, Chief Stearns. He died in 2003.
Oh wow, he died 20 years ago. Dude, I feel like that guy has played a policeman in every single police drama.
Oh yeah,
and film ever created. Like that guy was typecast for that role. He just feels like a New York police chief.
Some of the deputy officer Torres.
You're kidding me.
Building superintendent, just in his roles. Lieutenant Al Gambrino.
I mean, he's just built for that.
Agent.
He just works.
Goon number 3. All right.
I can see him as a goon.
Yeah.
Like
he's
he's
definitely
guy?
a noticeable person. I definitely recognize him.
Very cool. That's funny.
All right. So maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't check out her boobs. I don't know. You guys let me know.
We'll investigate.
We end up back at the warehouse though with Danny. This is where we get a really better look at the warehouse situation. You would have loved to kind of grind the gnar there, wouldn't you? Those ramps and all the rest.
I mean, come on, that place looks so fun. Like, where else could you go in 1990 to not have any responsibility? Video games, fast food, skateboarding, stolen electronics, or like whatever. I mean, it would have been amazing. I would just take home a VHS player for mom and dad, and that would be the payoff. Be like, where were you all night?
Where did you get this? Oh, don't ask questions, Johnny. You know, and then the dad, but the dad's like, he's like Robert De Niro in A Bronx Tale, where he's like really aghast. Your mom just wants to kind of get along, you know.
I love it. It's just like music in there. You know what's kind of cool about it? Like, these are all teenage boys. There might be some girls mixed in there too, but
yeah, there are girls in there, yeah.
Right? Like, and they're they're the thugs as well. But that's the one thing missing. Like, there's no girls for the boys in there. They're all of age to be interesting girls.
Yeah, right.
It's a very strange place, Kyle. There's locker rooms in there.
Right. Yeah.
What is happening in that place? It's weird.
There's something kind of clever about the idea, especially in like the pre-internet, pre-cell phone, where it's what people always joke about. I don't know if you see this, like people are joking more, like younger people can't believe that there were things on the TV through the 90s probably where it was like, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Totally.
Like people can't even relate. They're like, that was the thing. It's like, no, seriously, like I was on the tail end of that. I mean, we had cell phones by the time I was in high school, but it's true. Like you'd be like, I'm going out with my friends, and then you'd just be gone. Untraceable.
No way to track you. Totally untraceable.
And so in that era, giving kids a place to just be like, oh, you know, he's like wherever the fuck he is with his dumb friends, but he's at this warehouse getting groomed to potentially join the Foot Clan. And I kind of dig it in that they're recruiting members passively. And you could tell like the more serious people, ultimately, I think you get a headband first, because Danny has a headband at one point. But he doesn't have the mask or anything like that. And it's cool. They show Shredder like putting the mask on one of the guys at some point that they're inducting into the clan. And you're kind of just there's even that funny scene with Tatsu where like he's like, run along, play. Because he's like, they're just trying to they don't want people to be scared of being here or whatever. That's what makes his behavior so much later when he kills but doesn't kill that kid, is they're just kind of filtering through. And it's like, yeah, we are stealing all of this shit anyway. So you take a few bits and bobs and you have some cigarettes, and
cigarettes is the other thing. That's right.
Yeah. Like they have like just cases of cigarettes and JVC fucking TVs. And there's some like weird stuff there. Like if you look around, like there's bazooka bubblegum boxes.
I noticed
there's comics, but it's what were the comics? It's not DC or Marvel. It's like one of the other comic
companies. Really?
Yeah.
I gotta look at that.
Yeah. And some other random stuff too, like Sanyo or something like that. And
that's
you take your Walkman and take a few Pepsis, and then maybe you go rob some people and have a little bit of fun. So I don't know. It's crazy that no cop had penetrated this. And even Casey Jones kind of just walks around for a little while. He does end up taking out one of the foot soldiers and donning his garb or whatever to get by. But they don't even seem that curious that this guy's here. He's 29.
He infiltrate. Yeah, that's true. He's definitely like 10 years too old to be there, at least. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's a great way to do it though. I mean, there's plenty of like circa 1990 New York delinquents. They might as well just recruit, right? Buy them off with some Walkmen and some fast food, some Burger King.
Archie Comics.
That's Archie. Yeah, because Archie, not the Archie IP, but the Archie comic company, the Ninja Turtle comics based on the TV series were printed on.
Yeah, so that's probably like a little ode to them.
That's interesting.
A little bit of money to get their stuff in there. So yeah, they're stealing those comic books by the thousands. I do like that. So we see Shredder here for the first time, really. Other than like the TV scene and a few other things where like, and he's so cool. And I think they did a really cool job with his outfit.
Definitely.
He looks a little lamer later in the movie when he loses all, and it's just like that purple sparkly thing. He looks like he's like gonna dance in a recital or something like that.
Yeah, it's a little sequined, like it. And the color purple is they definitely pull the punches with the color purple. Like it could have been worse,
right? Definitely,
because they have to take that iconic cartoony costume and make it into a live action version. But yeah, it's a little like Dancing with the Stars.
But they otherwise kind of nail it. Like the helmet's awesome. The face covering's awesome. I love how he has the claw on one hand only. I think it's on his left hand, like Vega.
They do a good job.
Yeah, they do a really nice job with it. Is it a little gay that Tatsu does his cape like that? Though it's a little gay, right? I mean, like he walks up very earnestly and like puts it over his. It's like, yeah, you don't need to do all that. I don't think
the Tatsu character is very mysterious.
Yeah, he is. Like, he's the only adult.
Why is he? Does he? Right, he's the only adult. I understand. I remember wanting Rocksteady and Bebop in this version because we already knew who they were. And then, of course, in 2, we really added insult to injury because you had henchmen, but they weren't Rocksteady and Bebop. But Tatsu doesn't bother me that Shredder has a lieutenant. And if you think about it, it's like, okay, it's good to have a big bad that's not Shredder so you could kind of build up the mystery and just kind of reveal him slowly. by showing Tatsu, it's like, oh, he has this other guy. This is the sort of epitome or the personification of the foot. And then we could reveal Shredder slowly and kind of build the mystery of this character. But it doesn't really work like that. They actually do reveal Shredder. So Tatsu is a weird character.
Yeah.
Because he's not based on anything. He's created, as far as I know, he's created purely for the movie.
I wonder if he is incorporated later. Like,
that's a good question.
They borrow from that. Because that was what I was hoping with Casey Jones. I was reading more about Casey Jones, and it seems like they really didn't incorporate any of the hockey stuff later. But I'm like, that's something you should have stolen. Like, that was actually a good idea. And yeah, so I wonder if he appears later on. I don't know though. Let me see. Tatsu. Yeah, I don't see anything about that. Well,
he's a one-off.
At this point, Danny rats out the turtles. Don't really know. So it's important to note that when Charles and Danny are at the apartment, he does catch a glimpse of them, which
right
in a mirror, so he knows they exist. Maybe he thinks he's crazy or whatever, but he's
on drugs clearly.
Yeah, like I don't know. Danny's God, I just want to punch Danny in his fucking face sometimes. You know,
he's annoying.
It's just like, why are you such an asshole? Your dad doesn't seem that bad. He's trying to help you, even though he's being blackmailed.
Yeah.
At one point, he says, like, we have plenty of money, Danny. Like, why are you doing this?
That's right. He does say that.
But the Foot Clan ultimately catch up because they know that with the Turtles, because they know that they're holed up at April's apartment. So they show up there. But since Raphael is off on his own, kind of being brooding and being moody and angry. And this is the thing I wanted to say, by the way. Where does the anger come from? Like, we don't really get into that. Like, why is he so angry? Why is everyone else so well adjusted except for him? They've all had the same experiences. They know the same people.
That's true.
So it is very interesting. I mean, he's allowed to be his own turtle. But
yeah, I mean, everybody has their own built-in personality that they're born. I do like the one thing that I think they could have done a better job at is building up a little bit of tension between Raph and Leo, which is an ongoing, despite iteration thing between the turtles. Like, there's just a personality conflict with those two. Despite the brotherly love, there's something there that just keeps them butting heads. And they don't really ever even talk about that until they start arguing right before Raph goes out, where he's like, you're the leader. And all of a sudden it just pops off that there's tension between these two. Right. So they could have done a couple of moments where they were kind of bickering leading up to it. But what I do, the trade-off there, and what I do like is that the other three, including Leo, are acting like, to some degree, carefree teenagers with the pizza and the funny talk and the awesome bossa nova, like the talk. They're kind of lighthearted to a certain degree, all three of them. And Raph is the one that's brooding and carrying the weight of the world, and he's got like a little bit of an anger issue type thing, so he stands out. So you're already rooting for him. But I like that there's those distinct personalities, but that's the one thing that they traded that off for, is that there really was no buildup of tension between those two until they decided they needed it before Raph gets beaten within an inch of his life. And for those who don't know, I don't want to ruin it, but that's Leo in the comic books that gets nearly killed.
Oh, really? I don't think I even knew that.
They flip-flop that. And it's still this kind of vigil between Raph and Leo. And it's, ironically, it works either way. You know what I mean? I just think in the movie, they decided you care more about Raph, where Leo's kind of like, again, like we talked about, is a little bit more of a non-entity.
He's the least defined of them in the movie for sure.
100%. Yeah. And I get it, because he's a more, you need more time to draw him out. You can't sketch him quick. He's just got a weird personality that takes time to build, where it's like Raph, he has a very distinctive personality. So yeah, let's make him get in trouble.
I do like that they pair them off, like Donatello and Michelangelo, and Leo and Raph, which I think is cool. And
I like that too.
And I like all four. I've always liked all four turtles. Again, I think in a way, Donatello is the most attractive to me in terms of like his personality and like his usefulness and all of the rest. But again, it's all about Leo for me. I just love that character, even though I'm curious, like, I don't know enough about the lore, like how he even became the leader and like how he was chosen and their upbringing.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, it's a really good point. I don't know if I knew.
Young Ninja Turtles Chronicles. We need that.
The only stereotypical character sort of trait that they left out of this was really Donnie as being the engineer or interested in machines or tinkering and all. There's the one scene where him and Casey are working on the car, but it's not even him. He's just sitting behind the wheel. That's the one personality trait that they left out that usually defines Donnie, is that he's the gearhead. He's the tech guy.
There is one thing that he does where I wondered if there was like supposed to be a nod towards that, which is, and it's during this part we're at in the movie where the Foot Clan are like jumping into the apartment. They throw Raphael. It's pretty violent. Like they throw Raphael through the skylight and they jump in and he says something like, I don't know, guys, we should be jumping into the integrity of the building is about to.
Oh, you know what? I never realized that.
I don't know if that's, but it is him. It is him that says it. And I don't know if that was supposed to be a wink and a nod to his kind of like scientific.
Interesting.
Because it's easiest to portray Michelangelo and Raphael just in a short time. I agree with you there. But I've always loved all four of them. Like I have no problem with any of them. I think Michelangelo is probably the least appealing to me. I like orange a lot. I think it's like one of my favorite colors too. But nunchucks. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the weapon.
Beat the shit out of someone with those things. I mean, but they are weird weapons. Like I was never like the katana, and then I like the bow staff a lot, and then the size I think are cooler too. So you got like it's like the worst weapon.
Yeah, like, I agree. Yeah, you can't hold that against them though. I don't think. Did you, Kyle? I have to tell you this. I was very excited to tell you this. You may already know this. You may have known this for years, but this was news to me until like 3 hours ago.
Tell me.
When I found this out. The guy who does Mikey's voice in the film here, and I think he might have done Mikey's voice for the next 2 live action films as well. Don't quote me on that. Robbie Wrist, you know who he is?
No.
He's cousin Oliver from the fucking Brady Bunch.
Is he really?
Yeah, dude. I was like, what is happening?
That scratches something so deep in me. Where like in the pre-internet era, people I think might have discovered that was cousin Oliver or something like that. God, that's something that
how crazy is that?
That's so fucking funny. For people that don't know, cousin Oliver is a Brady Bunch character that was introduced in the Brady Bunch very late in the run when they felt like they needed. It's a very traditional sitcom thing to do. Like someone's got to have a baby. There's got to be a new. Everyone does that, and cousin Oliver was like came to live with them to like spice it up.
And do you know the story of why he came to live with them? Do you remember?
No,
I don't remember at all.
I was going to say he had an affair with Alice. I don't know why. Why?
I really don't know.
Why does cousin Oliver come and live with the Brady family?
I just remember this little Harry Potter.
Oliver is the son of Carol's brother Jack and his wife Pauline. When they travel to an archaeological dig in South America, their son is unable to accompany them and is sent to live with the Bradys.
So weird. What? Dude, if you gave me multiple choice of 10 different scenarios and said that's one of them, I wouldn't have picked that one. It's so weird and random.
You think it would have been very enriching for him?
What is happening? Oh my God. I gotta go back and watch.
Can you imagine be like cousin Oliver's probably pissed. Also, where does he have to sleep? I
don't remember.
That family's so chock full. For some reason, that house is so big, but they only have 2 bedrooms.
Wait a second, though. It had to be late. Like Greg and Marsha at least had to be in college by that point.
Yeah, do they ever leave? I don't remember them.
I don't know.
I don't remember them ever going anywhere. I've watched Brady Bunch like a lot. Like I don't remember them. I don't know. It has been a long time since I watched the Brady Bunch, though.
Me too. Like a long time.
But I loved that show. Like I thought that show was so fun.
It's so
and so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. All right, back to TMNT.
All right.
Raphael's in a coma, like Duke was in the G.I. Joe movie.
That's right, yeah.
And they're fighting, and I love this fight scene. I think this fight scene's really cool. There's really nothing crazy going on. It's very comical. They use the Zildjian symbols to fucking pound some dude's head. And that's what I was saying. I'm like, why was everyone thinking it was so violent? In fact, I was thinking there's one scene where I'm like, it could have gotten violent, where Leo keeps slicing at the foot soldier and he keeps ducking. And I'm like, if that guy didn't duck, then I guess he would have gotten cut in half or something like that, or sliced and diced by Leo. But there's really the violence is all implied. So I'm so confused by that. In fact, it's funny to think about that because I think Judith Hoag has said that she feels like she wasn't invited to reprise the role of April because
Oh,
she complained so much about the movie while they were making it.
is that right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's the
as
word.
far as the
Yeah.
level of violence or her being in danger?
Yeah, I guess
or what?
like she was surprised by how violent it was, and I guess she also was like really put off by the schedule that they were
Oh,
filming under,
wow.
and so they totally recast her.
She didn't. This was it.
Yeah,
for
this
her.
was it. This was it for her.
Oh my god,
So
that's hilarious.
it's interesting that might all play together. Who knows? But ultimately, the place ends up burning down. April loses everything, her building. But apparently, this is a pretty prodigious family because she has a farm somewhere. Her family, I guess. I don't know. They don't really explain they don't explain who, like, what this is or where it is. And I was wondering where you thought about it. I read it as upstate New York. It
Mhm.
could theoretically be like Far East Long Island. I doubt that. It could be Connecticut or New
Yeah.
Jersey. It could even
Yes.
be Pennsylvania. That's like the whole thing. I'm like, I don't know where the fuck they are. They never say, where do you think it's North Carolina in the movie or and when they're filming it. But
That's where they film it.
yeah, that's where they film
Okay.
most of the movie, I think. So I think
Okay.
it's down there. But where do you think that is? I guess I read it as like upstate.
I may be misremembering this, but I'm pretty sure in the comic book it's supposed to be somewhere in like rural Massachusetts, which
Oh,
is a nod to Eastman and Laird's New England
yeah, they're from
roots.
New Hampshire, right, or something like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. So I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that's where it's supposed to be in the original story,
That's
in the
cool.
original graphic novels. But I'm not. But again, it's sort of a trade off. Helene and I were talking about this last night because she was like, "Where do the Drapers live?" In Mad Men, and I was like, somewhere in White Plains, like shallow upstate New York, but it's interchangeable. Like they could live on Long Island, Southern Connecticut. They could live in, the Philadelphia metro area, Jersey. It's interchangeable. We're from the Northeast. It's not that it's not all beautiful, but it's very similar. Massachusetts is kind of getting into even Southern Massachusetts is kind of getting into New England, but I think that's where it's supposed to be. But it feels very upstate New York to me.
Yeah,
Too.
it does.
So
I like this. I like the bucolic nature of this, like this rundown house, shitty vehicle. I would like to know more about. It's obviously hers. She says she hasn't been there in years or whatever, and it's like it's
yeah,
obviously run down, but it has electricity there, which is interesting.
yeah.
They're getting supplies. There's that cool scene where Casey's like cutting up vegetables with one of Leo's katanas, which I like.
So good.
But yeah, this is a scene, and I really like the framing of this scene. I like April's VO in this part and like her drawing. I was wondering, like, could they have really framed the movie around that shit a lot more? Where there might have been 3 or 4 vignettes of her drawing new things or taking notes because she's going to write a book or do a report on it later or whatever.
I love that.
And I thought that was like a really thoughtful thing. She's really talented, obviously.
Yeah, she's got multi talents. This one.
I liked the framing, like a narrator's framing of the situation through the eyes of one of the characters, kind of saying that everyone is, and like you said, Leo holding vigil for Raph and
So
Donatello
good.
kind of vibing with Casey Jones and Michelangelo hanging out and all the rest. I just really wanted to shout out that storytelling component. They introduced it so late, and
It's really late. It's a lot later in the movie than I remember.
yeah,
Didn't remember it being that deep into things.
and it would have been cool if like you had just a few more beats where after she's jumped or whatever, maybe she has a thing where she like finds that she takes the side of her bag in her apartment and she's like drawing it or something and like reflecting on this experience. And I don't know, just something I thought about.
It's a cool little device, and it's nice. It's a really kind of a cool, and especially in an action film, you could see as a kid. I mean, I was 15 already, but I certainly was disappointed. It's a nice little beat to slow down and build some character moments, not just with the individual characters, which you get, but their relationships, and it's not just, for instance, Casey and April. You get Casey and Donnie building a friendship, and it's like, it makes the characters feel really real. And how Casey's becoming one of them, and that mutual respect, and the fact that they're all bonding. It's really nice, and it's beautifully shot. That's another thing about this movie. This movie's beautifully shot.
It is.
There's something about the nostalgia of 35 millimeter film, and the way it's not digital and all that kind of thing, and that grain and the grittiness. But there's something really nice about the way this movie is put together. It's really well done.
It is well done. That's why I was surprised to hear. There's even word that the director Steve Barron, who this might be his biggest film, and he hasn't done like a whole lot of work. He did some stuff on TV later, but he was apparently fired during the production of the movie,
I
according to
didn't
some
know about
people,
this.
which
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know if that's true or not, but the big that's right. I'm looking at it now. The biggest thing he did was he was the executive producer of Reboot. Do you remember that cartoon?
Yes, of course. That was huge with your generation,
Yeah.
actually.
I was always a little put off by it. I'm like, yeah, I don't.
Very uncanny.
Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah, it's very.
It's the beginning of that.
Yeah. So that
You
was
know,
that
it's
was a
really
big thing for him apparently, was that. And he directed Merlin. I remember this because yes, Sam Neill played Merlin. I remember that was like a TV movie or whatever. So yeah,
Oh, I don't remember that.
he yeah, so like he did a nice job, I thought. And obviously the cinematographers and everyone did a nice job. The thing about, again, that the repeating thing about this movie to me is that it's surprisingly good. It's
Yeah,
still holds up. It's old. It's going to be 40 years old soon.
that's
And
insane to me.
in the coming few years. And I think it's still, it makes me eager to see TMNT 2 because that was a movie that was made knowing what you had, as opposed to making a movie like this where you really didn't even know what you were doing and if it was going to work out. And
Yeah,
the way that those things come off, because as I remember, like, I think people like the second and the third one, but not anywhere near as much
the
as they like
first
this
one.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the building up. This movie built up so much hope for the second one, but you know what's funny? I really don't remember it, man. I think I only saw it once. I think it might be an idea. I don't know what you feel about this, but like to do 2 and 3 as an episode.
Oh,
It would
we should
be
do them as individual episodes.
individually.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. And that would be interesting because that would be really exploring 2 movies that I've only seen one time.
Yeah, 3 I barely remember because I did see 3 in the theater. I think it came out when I was in 4th grade maybe. I was kind of over it by that point.
Yeah.
That was the late G.I. Joe era, and then a little bit after that Star Wars would come out, and oh, what did mom just texted me?
How you seeing her today this weekend?
No, the weather's been so shitty here. Well, it was shitty here, and then it just froze. Like everything froze. Like no one can really go
Yeah,
anywhere.
same.
So
Yeah.
they just plowed our street yesterday after 5 days or something. So
Well, how much snow did you guys
it wasn't
get,
a lot. It was like
ultimately?
4 or 5 inches, but
That's enough.
it's so cold, you know?
Yeah, it just froze right
it
over.
just
Like
froze.
yeah. Arctic
There's
tundra.
so many it's funny, man. There's like so many amateurs down here. Like when it was, I have the front of my house faces south, like southeast, so that's good.
Yeah.
My backyard faces north though, and so I get back there and like shovel around the pool and stuff so that the dogs can go back there and like know what they're doing. But people live across the street from me. Like I did my driveway and like the sidewalk and stuff, but people just left it for a day, and I'm like, you guys are done.
Oh, yeah, you can't.
And some of them
No.
like live on hills and stuff, and I'm like, it's over for you. Like, I'm sorry, it's over for you.
How are you even going to get yeah.
Because
You
even if
gotta
you try
pay
to,
attention to the
crack it
temperature.
open, you're gonna like fuck your concrete up and stuff like that too. So
Oh, dude.
it's a bad scene. Oh, Kiki.
Oh, there's Kiki makes a guest appearance.
Kiki.
I didn't even know she was up here.
Okay.
Okay. Somebody's home.
All right. So from here, Raphael wakes up. Obviously, he's okay. I like that scene with him and Leo and Michelangelo and April are watching them have like a tender moment with each other.
Dude, these are 2 men in rubber turtle costumes standing in a bathtub. And you still get a little sentimental with that scene. It's that good. You know, especially these two characters, the fact that they're at loggerheads all the time. And I think there's a little bit of a power struggle between Raph and Leo. I'm not saying in the movie you get this, but like I think there's something about them, that their like efficiency with fighting and their prowess too. I think they're at odds with that. Because there's probably something about Raph feeling like he should be the leader because he's probably the best warrior of the, you know what I mean? Like there's that whole dynamic, but there's something about the love that goes even deeper than that feels like brothers, especially brothers that are close in age like that, like the sibling rivalry, but then feeling like the anger towards each other, but like you really do need each other. And that how worried Leo was because of all the shitty things he was saying to Raph as he was leaving. He's like, we don't need you. Like, it's pretty fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the fact that you think like he could die in that state is, I can relate to that. Like, you don't want to feel that kind of regret.
Yeah, it's awful.
Saying, you know, so I kind of love that, like the humanity of that.
And it's like you said, if it's the opposite in the comics, and it works either way in terms
exactly
of, because
it's interchangeable.
Because of that
kind of works. Yeah.
But I do like they Leo, I guess, has a vision. This is kind of, I guess, a little lore building for Leo, or character building for Leo, is he has like a telepathic connection with Splinter and like encourages them all to go outside around the fire, and they have a very emotional connection with him, but proves that he's alive. Because I think that's an important part of the movie, is that they really don't know that Splinter's alive, or like what
Right.
happened with it all. And when you look at it through that lens, it's kind of funny because they're almost casual. It's like, dude, like this, your father figure, like the only person you really know other than each other is gone. And you're kind of like traipsing around a little bit and dicking around and telling jokes and stuff like that. I don't know that it would be so light. Raphael's like in a tub, passed out, and Splinter's like gone. And Michelangelo's like telling jokes about his fucking turtle wax or whatever.
It's not looking good.
Yeah, it's not looking good for everyone.
I like the fact that they could have some levity, but yeah, it gets well, that's the thing about when like Leo, or in this case, Raph is almost slain. He gets thrown through the skylight, and it's like that fight that follows that moment is like a little, you think there would be a little more anger, but again, it sticks to that tone of levity and that this is for kids. And what Dagan would do in that situation, had I been the showrunner, might be a little different than what would actually be good. So in that case, it's good to do the thing they did, but maybe a little too much.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too much levity for me.
Yeah, sure.
At that point.
Sure. So they've opted after this seance that they have to go back into the city, finally return. I was wondering how they were surviving out there anyway. They had fresh vegetables, they have some food.
Mm-hmm.
April like goes to April says like, I haven't been here in years, and like everything's decrepit, and then she goes to like a drawer and finds like Ben Gay or something. I'm like, well, where did that come from? How did you even know that was there? But they ultimately resolve to go back. They go back and they they head straight to the sewer. I do like the scene where like Casey's outside and he thinks that they live in like that storefront, and then they go into the sewer, and he is like, oh, they live in this shithole. But I was thinking, like, why don't you go to where Casey lives? What, like, Casey still has a place to live, I assume. You see him.
Never thought of that.
He sees Raphael on the rooftop. That's how he knows that he's there and goes to save him or whatever. That's the connection. And I assume that was like where he lived or something. But
that's a great point.
But maybe not. So I'm like, why are you going to the sewer? Like, doesn't Casey have anything? Like any money to help, like any place to put you up? But no, apparently not. They have to go down in the sewer. And it's funny, they have a gay joke down here.
Yeah. You're a claustrophobic.
Yeah. That's I don't remember that.
I never even looked at another man.
Yeah, it's very funny.
It's hilarious.
It's very of the time, though.
Would never do that.
No, never.
Never in a million years.
It's not even really an anti-gay joke. It's just a gay joke. But,
yeah,
so it's like not even really mean-spirited. But even then, it wouldn't play. I don't think today in a family film like this. But I thought that was really funny. I was surprised by that. I was like, that's funny.
I didn't remember that either.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit, like a little, again, like something unexpected coming out of the 80s that seemed to make it in a lot of films. That's the crazy thing about 1990, though. I know we had to have mentioned this on the show before on other topics, but 1990 is very much an extension of the 80s. Like, I know the first year of any decade feels like the decade that came before, but 1990, for some reason, just feels like 1989 part 2. It just does. I don't know what it's still like that whole, like nothing has changed. Like the number has changed, but the dynamics, it seems exactly the same.
And it's all filmed in 89 too. So it is truly an 80s movie.
That's true.
It's truly an 80s. It truly is an 80s movie. And also, not to be nerdy, it goes into that Seinfeld episode about the millennium where it's like there is no year zero. So 1990 is part of the 80s.
Oh, so if
81 through 90 is like 1 through 10.
There's that bump.
Yeah.
I get that.
So it literally, though we don't look at it that way, like 2000 is part of the 90s. It is. Otherwise, the 90s had 9 years. Right?
Yeah. So, yeah. And I think that is true about 2000 too.
Well, yeah, 9/11 is really, unfortunately, the
first year.
Well, it's just that to me is when everything changed.
Yes.
And everything.
Definitely changed on a dime.
Everything. Like that is the marker. And so everything before that, I'd do anything to go with that, back to that time. To go back to 1990, and you and I have said this before when we reflected on specifically an episode of Black Mirror I bring up all the time, San Junipero, where I do feel like we'll live in an era where we can go back and do things like that and be in those places. And I'm excited about that.
That's amazing.
I don't know if it's 10, 20, 30 years away. It's going to happen. There's like just no doubt. and I'll live in that space. You'll never see me in the ever again, because I'll just go back to that and be gone.
1990 is a top 5 year for me. It's the last year our family was together, and before mom and dad split.
Well, 91 really, right, was the last year.
Well, yeah. Well, that's true. Wait, did
it was February 92, I think, right?
Oh, it was 91 the last year? It's funny because Graydon, my son, your nephew, he's in his 1990 right now.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He's 15. And I always tell him this is the best age. And he tells me, Dad, you say that every single age. And I said, no, this is real.
Any year that's not now is the best year, the best age. Believe me. Do anything to go back.
I hear that. Well, that's the nice thing about Knockback. We do go back briefly, at least. Right.
But yeah, 1990 I think about that too. I was in second grade when mom and dad split. So that would have been, I think it was early 92.
I think you're right.
So yeah, 91 would have been about the end of that. So yeah, there is something emotional about that.
Yeah.
Sure. Definitely. What else do we learn here? Oh yeah, I forgot. There's a little clip over here where they go back and they meet with Tatsu and Shredder. And Tatsu is even confused at this point, which I think is so good. He's like, why do you care about these fucking turtles? Now we have this anthropomorphic rat that we've kidnapped and we're like waterboarding him, and it's like, and Shredder's answer is that the fighting style is familiar.
But we have to be clear, and I don't think I ever really thought about this before watching it today, was that Shredder does not know who Splinter is. He still doesn't know. He might be starting to get the feeling that something's up, but
yeah,
that's
what
the
gave
crazy
it away,
thing. He doesn't know.
Well, I was thinking about it. They drew the eyes of that foot soldier that followed Raphael back.
Yeah.
He must have been like, what the fuck? And then, so he's like peeking through. There's these 4 lifelike human turtles and a rat.
Yeah.
And he has to go back and tell people this.
Right.
And I was thinking about that. I'm like, they must have thought this guy was absolutely out of his mind, but they actually believed him because they all went in and stormed the place and then kidnapped the guy. So like, there are now a lot of people aware that there is some like weird shit going on. And the people that happen to know this are like criminal children. It's very strange. Dude, strange shit happens later when Danny is caught with Splinter. Shredder and Tatsu find him, and then they just leave him.
Yeah, they do.
They just leave him there.
Yeah, that's true. That's a weird plot hole. I don't know. Now I'm trying to put 2 and 2 together because I just suspend my disbelief and enjoy things, and maybe to a stupid level. But like, take it back to the first fight where the turtles save April that initial time. Break the light. The Foot Clan's apprehended. They're tied up for the police or whatever. Blah blah blah. Is that the first time the turtles got on the Foot's radar? And then from that moment on, it's like, who are these vigilantes that are stopping our crime syndicate from operating smoothly or whatever?
Yeah. I think it all traces back to Danny.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's through Danny. Okay. So I guess it makes sense, but it doesn't.
Well, I think they tie it all together and know something. There is that weird scene in the sewer where Danny asks April for like one of the pictures and he takes it of Leo, and then Shredder finds it. He puts the claw over his head and goes down his body and takes the picture out.
He scans him.
Yeah. So like, I thought it was hysterical, especially when I was rewatching it for a second time, where I was like, they leave him behind. Like, it doesn't even make any, like, that doesn't make any sense. That has to happen for the story to progress, but they could have figured out a different way.
It does have to happen, but why does Danny want the drawing? So weird.
Yeah, it is weird. He's a fucking weirdo. Like, go to school, dude. He probably reads at like a second grade level or something too. That's the worst part.
They should have had him smelling it or something. He was infatuated with April or something. It would make more sense.
Yeah, he's like really into it.
That would tie in with like, the staring at her breasts and all that kind of thing. Like, right.
I'm telling you, check her out. I'm telling you, it happened.
That's hilarious.
I don't care what Google Gemini says. Ultimately, well, so there's kind of a cool scene too. The whole claustrophobic gay joke thing forces Casey Jones to go out to the truck when he's out at the truck, he sees Danny leaving. Danny was hiding in the turtle's lair. He
Right.
leaves without telling anyone because April wants to call his dad, and he says like wait till morning, and so he goes off, and then Casey Jones ends up seeing that, so he follows him. That's how they find the warehouse. The warehouse is named Lairdman Island, by the way, which I think is a reference to the writers, because they say it at the end when Stearns is asking the kids like, and they're like, "Go check out the warehouse on Lairdman Island." You know, so
good intel. I didn't even freaking put 2 and 2 together on that one.
Yeah, so that's a reference, obviously, to Laird and Eastman.
Love that.
And that's how it all kind of comes together. Is that Casey Jones we were saying earlier, he like ends up going there. No one really even seems to care that he's there. And then he ends up assaulting some foot soldiers, stealing his garb.
Right.
And then he goes and they try to rescue Splinter or whatever and are caught doing that. But then they flip the whole script and they end up leaving unharmed because they're like, this is your family kind of situation. And this kind of is like the Lost Boys. This is where the Lost Boys reference really comes up, you know, where it's like there's something hollow about your existence here.
Yeah, right.
And
it's just, get beneath the surface here, Sam Rockwell.
Does anyone recognize him from his time on the Rangers? That's what I wanted to know. Like any of the kids are like, holy shit, Casey Jones. He played defense for half a year before he blew his leg out.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so funny, dude. Yeah, he should have some celebrity. That would be amazing. That'd be so funny. I didn't remember. That's another thing too that I don't know. I don't know if that professional hockey player thing was part of that character, which makes sense. Or was that something put in just for the movie? Just to kind of make a little more sense?
I'm not a historian of TMT. As I understand it, that is a thing that was put in for the movie. But as I was saying earlier, it's one of those rare, well, it's not rare. I mean, it's like one of those good ideas from a film like this where it's like, you should steal that back.
Yes, you know, 100%.
Why wouldn't he be a professional actor? That's awesome. Like he's basically a washed out, and that's what I was saying. Like he should be a washed out New York Ranger that lives in New York City.
Yeah,
maybe he has like some like seminal moment where he gets jumped or something or whatever, and that's why he has the hockey sticks and the hockey mask and all that kind of stuff. It's cool.
I like that. I actually I mean, the poor man's vigilante just fighting with sports equipment is another thing where it's kind of charming if it's just more random like that, or maybe even unexplained. But yeah, that's a good idea for.
Yeah, those are two different characters in a way.
Two different things.
Because one of them, one of them's kind of trying to be low key so he's not recognized, but and the other one is just using whatever he has.
Yeah,
around him.
Right. Yeah, good. Yeah, good point.
Brilliant idea, though. I love that character. I just absolutely.
Such a good character.
I have a Casey Jones action figure on the back there. You won't be able to see it because everything's a fucking pixel on the video feed. We do learn about. They do stretch out, and I wonder how it goes in the comics as well. But they do stretch out like what is the connection between the Shredder character and Yoshi, who is like the master of Splinter's master, really his owner.
Yeah,
you learn that there's a character named Oroku Saki.
Right.
In Japan, who was Yoshi's like nemesis, and they were in a love triangle.
Right.
And at some point the woman chooses Yoshi. Oroku Saki flips out, kills her.
Yeah.
And then kills Yoshi as well when Yoshi discovers the body, and Splinter attacks Oroku Saki, fucking his face up. He gets his ear sliced off by the katana.
Right.
And that's the last time they ever see each other. But I'm confused. They say it a little bit, but they kind of skip over it. Like they come to New York for some reason. Like I don't understand how Splinter gets loose, I guess. Like how does he what
yeah.
Did that assault you know what? No, that's what happens is that Splinter and Yoshi and Splinter move to New York to get away with the woman from Oroku Saki.
Right.
And so it all happens in New York. He comes to New York, kills them. Splinter gets out of his cage, and then he's loose. So I think that's the way it goes.
Okay, so that whole thing transpired in New York.
Right, exactly. It must have. Otherwise, he was like a stowaway, like it was the American Tale or something. You know?
Right.
And I can't deal with that level of sadness, so I don't want to even.
Oh my God, what American Tale?
Yeah, I can't even.
Yeah, that movie's a lot.
Oh my God, dude.
Really, that was a lot.
Yeah, I was I'm like 6 or 7 watching fucking American Tale and Land Before Time, and Bambi. You know,
like, it's so funny that Don Bluth wanted to break out of the Disney tradition and just went right back into what Disney always did. He didn't do anything different. He was brilliant at drawing. He was a great draftsman, but like, it's like, yeah, he did the exact same thing, like the pathos, and like, it's too much for kids. All right, so that's interesting. So Tang Shin, Hiroku Saki,
Tangshin, that's the woman's name, right?
Tang Shin,
Yep.
Yoshi, and Splinter beat it to New York, and then that's when Hiroku Saki followed them there, committed the atrocity, right? And then that's how Splinter got out.
Right. And he didn't think twice about Splinter, I guess, because it's just a little rat, right? But the rat happened to have been trained for years. And he gets him. Like, that's a bad, brutal, when he takes the mask off later, when Shredder takes the mask off.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a bad.
Yeah, because when it happened, they show the flashback and it happened. Didn't look like it was going to be that bad.
Yeah, it's like a pretty brutal.
Yeah. He marked him up.
Yeah, he did. Definitely. Definitely.
He's out for justice.
So this ultimately brings us to the final fight. I do feel like the movie is kind of anticlimactic ultimately.
Definitely. It stops short almost.
Yeah, like I absolutely adore the way Shredder appears at the end. When it's like normal happening, and then everything goes kind of quiet, and everything slows down like half speed, and he like falls from the sky, like, and lands on the roof or whatever. And I'm like, that's fucking super cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
But the fight is stupid. It's one of those like things where it's like you're fighting them one at a time. At one point, he has a blade up to Leo's throat. It's like,
yeah,
just kill him if you're like that upset about it. And then he kind of goes out like a bitch. He like charges at Splinter. Splinter has the nunchuck from the ladder that was just there, and he like just pops him over, no problem at all. And then Shredder, but he wasn't going to drop him. He was going to have him arrested or whatever and kind of save his life. And Shredder throws the dagger just like he did at the TV earlier, and that forces Splinter to drop him, and he dies. Now, I don't know if he died until Casey Jones activated the garbage truck.
Casey Jones murderer.
I mean, absolutely. As I understand, that is such a shocking scene that scene is not even in some international versions of the movie. Yeah, including I think it wasn't in the British version until they released it on like Blu-ray or something. Because it is I remember I said it out loud when we were like, I wasn't taking notes. I was just like, I forgot that he just like pops him like a fucking grape.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, what did he think? But Casey Jones was about to murder those two kids in the park before Raphael saves their lives. So the murder thing was already written on the wall. Like, I think Casey Jones was going to murder those two kids. Those two, whatever, they mugged the woman or whatever.
Vigilantes?
The vigilantes.
Oh, no, they're not vigilantes. He's the vigilante. They're criminals.
The crooks. Yeah, so I don't know. But, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing for Casey's character. Like, that level of brutality is like... I don't know. I guess Raph tried to warn us, but it's a funny ending because it gets it again. It's weird. This movie kind of goes from comedic into pretty dark territory. It's pretty strange actually when you think about it, But I mean, it was a nice. It almost feels like something that would work in a cartoon, but in a live action movie, it's like, wow, you just crushed that guy in like a trash compactor, basically.
Yeah, like he was incapacitated at that point. You could have arrested him and learned so much or whatever.
Pretty grisly, dude.
I was also a little surprised by it just because it was so final. Like, I was surprised that they didn't opt out of even doing something like that, because it's like, well, it's like Joker going to Arkham. It's like, well, there'll be more, or we can do more. And they do bring him back. He becomes Super Shredder, right? Or whatever. I don't know if that's in the second or third one, but
they do bring him back. And in the comic book, Shredder dies in the first issue too. He seems like he's going to be this big baddie, and they kill him. And I think, don't quote me on this, but in the comic book, eventually he comes back in some form or whatever. But it's the same thing where it's like, you think this guy, there's going to be this dynasty of the Foot Clan headed up by Shredder, and it's just doesn't come to pass.
And meanwhile, in the cartoons, like, it all really focuses on him. That's why the TMNT brawler that Tribute, I think, did is really great, like the newer one. But I remember getting the villain from like, I don't even know who half these characters are. There comes a point like who and people are, and I'm like, I didn't watch this far. Like, I don't even know who the fuck this is. Really,
yeah, there's
really
a lot of
cool
weird
characters. You know Baxter and all these guys, and Rocksteady and Bebop and whatever, and Krang and what. But like, at some point, I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this is. One thing I love at the end is Danny and Charles getting reunited. Danny doesn't even acknowledge or apologize for shit. Like, you would think he would run up. He does give April the 20 back, which is cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
But he doesn't even
Forgot he
acknowledge or say
stole
like,
that.
Dad, I'm sorry or anything like that. He just like, and Charles is the one that's obviously so worried about his son. But dude, I don't know if you noticed, he's like, are you all right, son? Are you all right, Danny? And like, it's so bad that it's like, you just want to like, cut. Like, can we get that a little bit? Do you know what
That
the scene I'm
guy's a
talking
little
about?
much.
It's so like
Yeah.
weird. And that was like what I what I remember about the ending. And then of course they talk about, like I said earlier, Lairdman Island, and they go and kind of unravel what's going on there, because I guess Tatsu would still be alive.
Yeah, nothing happens to that dude.
And they have
Maybe he's going to pick up the mantle. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to know the different ideas they had before they settled on whatever quickly they were going to do for the second one. But yeah, I mean, that's the run of the film, and we get to the end of the movie, and that's it. I do think the movie loses a little bit of juice at the end, to be honest. I like you said, it kind of ends suddenly. It doesn't end suddenly because it's a 90-minute movie. It's fine length.
Yeah,
But it is a
I
little
get that.
anticlimactic. But I don't know. They didn't have like it's like watching the old Star Wars movies, like and the sword fighting as opposed to now. It's like they just didn't have it then. It wasn't gonna be like some Duel of the Fates, Ray Park fucking going off situation. Like, you weren't gonna get anything cool like that, you know? So
No,
you
it
kind of had
feels
to end it.
tacked on. You had to end it somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It does feel a little bit tacked on, but yeah, again, I don't have a solution for that. I mean, they could have. What would have been funny is if they, again, this would be pretty sick. But if they like put, they reset the trash compactor in the back of the garbage truck, and then Shredder was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah,
that's interesting.
That would be kind of
right?
cool. Like, yeah, a little post credit. Yeah, I like that.
It's got some kind of mystical powers or ninja magic type shit. I don't know.
And by the way,
that's
dude,
interesting.
No joke. TMNT 2 Secret of the Ooze came out 1 year, like almost to the date after.
I did not remember that.
That is so quick.
That's super
They
quick.
must have known maybe even before. You would imagine maybe even a little bit before that it was going to be big, and maybe they started pre-producing it at that point. But that's a pretty fucking quick production for that. I thought.
Well, do you have the stats in front of you for how well the first movie did?
Yeah, I have it written in my notes. It's
because they might have had
$200 million. At the
so it made a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Compared to its production budget.
That's $200 million in 1990 money.
Too. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money for a movie to make today.
It's not unreasonable to think with the popularity of Turtles that it would have done that, but they definitely must have felt like they had to cash in
quick.
Which is strange though, also because okay, based on the success of the first film, I get it, but Turtles was already around for a few years and was already huge. Wasn't going to go anywhere overnight. But I guess,
it stuck around for a while. It was basically a G.I. Joe, because G.I. Joe was 82 to 94. Turtles was 87 to 97, maybe something. So 10 years to 12 years, just like asynchronized from each other's timelines.
Yeah.
As I understand, my friend Kenny Kopnick is probably listening to this episode, the toy dealer. He can let me know. But I'm pretty sure 1991 was the all-time high year for TMNT in terms of like, I think by that point, Turtles was already the second or third biggest toy line ever after Star Wars and G.I. Joe.
Okay. G.I. Joe. It was Star Wars, G.I. Joe, and then Turtle. Wow. How late? Do you remember how late Playmates made the toys?
It was, I think 97 was when they ended. It was like all attached to that.
So they had a solid decade. That's incredible. A decade.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
87 huge. to 97. Yeah. 88 to 97.
10 years is a long time.
I remember these early ones too. Like, I'm looking at pictures of them, like the Turtles, they all had different shades of green. Like, that was a really cool thing about them. They were all distinguished even from not from their eye coverings, but from their bandanas, but from the color, the actual tone of the
that's really thoughtful. Yeah. I like stuff like that. Now they experimented with, I don't know, one of the newer, there's so many now, but one of the newer TV animated iterations has Raph as like really big, like hulking. Like his body type is like super buff compared to the other ones. And I like stuff like that, but it feels like, I don't know. I'm not against experimenting with that. I love character design, but you know what I mean? Like they've done every single iteration. They've experimented with every single thing, but there's something about their proportions and heights being generally the same, but a little off, and like the blemishes and the freckles and you know what I mean? Being different. And, maybe Raph has a few extra scars or a broken shell. Like, I like that. that feels like enough to me. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to that. Don't mess with it. Felt like it was perfection at a certain point. Between this, I love the art style, like the art direction of that first 4-player arcade beat 'em up. Like it's cartoony, it's colored headbands, but there's something cool enough about like their expressions. They look angry. It's graphic, but it's also serious enough. You know what I mean? Like there's something where it just hits its stride. It's like perfect in that sort of that form. It's really, really neat. But this movie, man, it's incredible. It just feels like one of those movies that just, again, like it just captured lightning in a bottle. I feel like it was just, yeah, on just really distinctive, maybe to the era, to where Turtles was at the time. It just feels like Turtles may have, again, I don't know if this is because like the Paramount empire being bought out by Skydance, and the struggle with IP about who owns it and how involved or uninvolved Eastman and Laird are, and all the boring dollar sign bullshit associated with it, and sort of feeling like you keep going back to the well and milking the franchise and reiterating, and it's tired. But this harkens back to an era where it was still exciting,
Definitely.
which I love.
Definitely. Still very exciting at this point.
You know,
And yeah, they did it. The merchandising was great. I mean, those guys made so much money, and it's such a unique and interesting idea. And I know that TMNT started as kind of making fun of comic books.
yeah,
That was the
yeah,
idea, but it became its
sure.
own self-serious sort of thing in some avenues. Not the cartoon certainly or anything like that, but certainly in this movie and in other places as well. And I've always had a soft spot for the Turtles. I don't know very much about the Turtles after this trilogy of movies, and like, again, the first half of the cartoon series probably. So I don't want to speak too out of turn. It's just I feel so turned off by everything I've seen by it. Like just visually. It's just like, this looks like shit. Like didn't they do a live action one?
They did. The most recent Turtles feature film iteration was Mutant Mayhem, which was 2022, maybe it was 2021. Really cool animated version of it, but again, a very distinctive tone. It's nice for me to be back in TMNT land, because the last time I had a ride, I dabbled in Ninja Turtles, was with the last Ronin comics, which I'm not going to talk a lot about. Highly recommend. Huge spoilers in that series. It's sort of a post-apocalyptic dystopian version of the turtle, like a continuation of the story, and based on a huge payoff at the end that I do not want to ruin. So I don't even want to talk about it that long, but that was really cool. That was a really cool return to it. It was a great way to reinvent the Turtles and go back to the well, and kind of it was a nod to everything that came before, but it was a nice way to kind of iterate on it in a way that hadn't, to my knowledge, hadn't been done before, which was kind of neat. But it's nice to go, and that was the last time for me that I've gone back. But I feel like they still go back every couple of years, whether it's Nickelodeon / Paramount / Skydance now. I don't even know if that merger went through, but
No, yeah, that did go through, and now they're interested in Netflix, right? Was that what it was?
Oh no, that's Warner.
Warner Brothers. Netflix and Warner, and Netflix and CBS are both interested, or not CBS anymore. Paramount are now interested.
Yeah, they were interested, but I think Netflix bought it. Warner Brothers, HBO, CBS, whatever the whole thing.
Well, they
was.
did. They bid. Netflix accepted their bid. Paramount, I think, sued them because they claim that their bid is better.
They wanted it too.
I think that they don't. WB wants to go with Netflix. Like if it happens, it's going to be like a more hostile action.
Wouldn't you want to be? I mean, they have all the money. They have all the right. They have. I mean, I wouldn't want to be. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I think Netflix wants Warner Brothers. I think the need is in the other direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be I think what they're arguing is that like there's just going to be. I think the one fear people have about WB and Netflix is like the unfilmization of WB. Like Netflix only cares about movies so far as they like putting movies in theaters so far as like it allows them to get Oscars and so all that stuff. So I think Paramount is trying to make a play saying like we'll treat you more traditionally, and that's attractive to some people, but the money's
that's
not
interesting. Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's so crazy. I mean, think about if that goes through. Netflix now owns HBO, Warner Brothers, Turner Classic, DC Comics. They already have Sesame Street. They already took Sesame
Yeah,
Street.
I'm not impressed. I personally don't find Netflix very impressive. Like I did for a really long time. I thought they were awesome. They were a seminal company, both in the disc era and
Yeah,
then when House of Cards came out and all this stuff like started, and it was like amazing the stuff they were
yeah,
doing. But I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I got rid of them like a year or two ago at this point. Um,
Oh, did you
yeah,
really?
like I never really had many subscriptions, but I always had a Netflix subscription for some reason, like just continuously since probably 2003 or something. And yeah, I was like, I don't really like this anymore. It's just not for me. So there's going to be
It's
stuff on there that
not
I like,
good.
but it's just so much shit, both literally
It's
and
just not
figuratively. It's
good.
like just a lot of volume, and then a lot of it sucks.
Every single thing's going to be under like four roofs. You know, you're going to have Paramount, Universal, based in Philly, right? So Paramount, Universal, you're going to have Netflix and Disney. Those are going to be the four roofs, and everything's going to be underneath those. It's not
No,
good.
it's not good at all.
That's not good. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not good for entertainment. It's not. It's. I don't think it's. I don't think it's good for anything except for the companies
I
themselves,
agree.
right? So
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know that's a divisive thing to say, but I just don't see any benefit
well,
except for their bottom line. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
benefit
So,
to the shareholders. It's the same thing that's going on with
right.
Electronic Arts being bought by the Saudi wealth fund. It's like I don't know why you would want to do that, but I guess you want to get paid out if you're a shareholder. You make a lot of money.
Sure. Yeah. What's there? If that happens or if that goes down? Like, what are they saying about creative autonomy and all that kind of thing?
I think what I tell my audience is the reason that the Saudi involvement in gaming is so sadistic and strange is that they don't give a fuck about what you do. They just want the money. So like it's a
Okay.
form of sports washing. You might call it games washing. In other words, when they were getting involved, it's like, oh, so you're gonna like ungay Mass Effect and all that. And it's like, no, they're not gonna do any of that. That's what makes it so sinister. They don't even believe what they say.
Oh,
They just want the money.
it's just the money. That's it.
It's the same thing with art, they own SNK.
Right.
And
That's been going on for a long
right.
time, and they don't meddle at
No.
all.
Like
Right?
and to a degree, I'm like, kind of hate that because it's like having your cake and eating it too. And I appreciate that their hands are off, but they get to make all the money and have their hands in it for shit that they wouldn't even be allowed to sell or propagate in their own country.
Yeah.
And
Oh, right.
I just think that that's hollow. I would never. I mean, well, it's never say
There's
never. If
got to
someone
be.
dangled enough money in front of my face, I'd probably do a lot of things. But
I mean, a lot of us would, right? Like all hypocrite, all hypocritical stuff aside, but there's got to be some degree of meddling because they have to be at least driven enough, or they have to be held over the fire enough at least to be able to be profitable and make money. So there's got to be some sort of meddling in that they have to make sure money's coming in,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
right? So that's interesting.
yeah.
Very
I think
interesting.
it's just like facilitating them doing whatever they think is best. And not
Sure.
trying to like socially engineer anything or whatever. Which I again, on one hand, you're like, that's good. On the other hand, it's like that's so hollow and strange. You preach a
Yeah.
certain thing in your own country, you preach a certain thing to your own people, and then you allow your private investment or your public investment fund to make money off of an entity that is making an enormous amount of money off of the things that are in some ways illegal in your own country.
Yeah. 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 It feels very soulless. Yeah.
I would never work for a company like that personally, but and I've turned down a lot of money from companies I don't like, as people know, whether it's conflicts of interest or just like I don't know. It's easy enough for me to do. Maybe it wouldn't be easy enough if there was many tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars.
Sure. But still,
But still,
money
I
to, I
think I might.
mean,
You know. Well, that's what bothered me about EA is it's like, well, if these people are interested, you can't find any domestic buyers. That just seems impossible.
yeah,
But
I wonder.
whatever, doesn't matter. Has nothing to do with
They don't.
TMNT. Well, I'll be interested to see what Lockmore does with this episode. And of course, we had this episode in audio as well, so people will get to enjoy a normal episode of Knockback.
That's awesome.
Maybe we'll get together in February and do TMNT 2
I love it.
and go from there. But in the
We're
meantime,
not committing to anything yet, but like a month, we're thinking maybe a monthly cadence to this, right?
yeah, I think that would be good because we have to record on weekends. I don't want to always be recording on weekends. I know you don't either. And I want to find like good topics. I also just want to see how Locke does with it. And I think we can eventually do games. I think doing games would be a lot safer from a game, like from a footage perspective, us not getting in trouble. And I want to see how that all goes. Like, I don't even know if we'll be allowed to do what I want to happen here. So
could I make one not so bold prediction that Locke's going to put in?
Sure.
You're Danny looking at April's breast moment.
Oh yeah.
Probably in slow-mo.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the brilliance of these type of edits. We could do that sort of thing now.
Right. And it's and I hold no reservations by saying, like, I'm totally inspired by Red Letter Media to try to do this. Knockback's its own show. I've watched enough of In Review and all of these different things to know over the years, like, our show is not like their show. They're very different. And I feel like they know a lot more about movies than I do. We're talking about them from a different perspective, but like the framing of their so, I want to see what Lockmart does, because like I'm not even expecting the Mike level edit of like so funny, so ridiculous.
Sure.
You know, like things I've seen, like when they do Best of the Worst and stuff, and it's just so funny. You know, they do their own, but it's definitely 100% inspired by that. So, but it'll just be Knockback with footage.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Which I think is really kind of neat. And I like taking a page out of their book. You know, it's one thing they do that I don't know why I was noticing it, but it sort of registered with me finally. Have you ever seen them do this? They'll just cut to black
for a long time.
A little too long.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's just like little things like that.
Yeah, it's like another volume of the show or whatever, like that, like in the middle. I like that episode of I'm sorry, like the next chapter begins or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, they're definitely they're just so, like, I love how simpatico. I wish I remembered like what it was. It was like some old 80s movie they were watching, and I was thinking, I'm like, some of this footage they're showing would be so funny if they just had fart noises over it. I don't remember like what it was, and then like 10 seconds later you heard like a fart noise, and I was like, because it was like showing like some old man like getting out of bed or something like that, like, and I was like, it would be so funny if they just had a fart noises here, and then they did it. Like, I was like, that's
they read your mind.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god.
So good, dude. They just get it right so much of the time.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
They're special.
So we'll see what happens. Let us know. Either version, we'll publish them both on Patreon. So, and then this will go live on YouTube at some point. But
nice.
We'll have the audio version of this will be whatever episode number 200 and whatever, and then this will be number 1 of Super Knockback as well. So we'll see.
Super Knockback. I love it.
All right, my man.
All right, dude. It was good seeing you.
Good to see you too.
It was good seeing everybody else too. I hope everybody's psyched. You know, dozens of Knockback listeners are going to be excited.
Oh, dude, I think people are going to be so excited.
No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun, dude.
So
either way, it's so fun to do.
So some mysterious Sunday and week or two from now. I was thinking, yeah, again, maybe we'll put it the day of the Super Bowl, but if not, the week after that. So
I like it. I like it. And with movies, it's so easy. Now, eventually, when we finally do Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, then I'll have to. I've been thinking about that specific game, and like what I'll probably have to do is just play it and record it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is annoying, but that's what we got to do. If the juice is there, if no one cares about this sort of thing, then we won't ultimately.
Right.
I think we'll still do Knockback, but I don't think we'll go through the trouble of.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
All right, my man.
We'll see how it goes, man. I like that it's open ended right now. It feels exciting.
It does. Yeah, it's open ended, like we're seeing each other. You know?
But we could also see other people,
right? Yeah, and you don't have to answer my text immediately or anything like that. Fine.
If I leave you unread, don't be insulted.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't know why anyone has that on. By the way,
I don't.
like where it's like I've read this, but I've not answered. Like, why would I want you to know that?
Yeah, why would anybody have that on if given the option?
It's like I feel like it only exists to be a dickhead. Like that's exclusively the reason it exists. Maybe not. I don't know. All right, well, we'll see you next time.
Say hi to Micah for me.
I will.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
And thank you all out there for your love, kindness, and support. Appreciate you. Patreon.com/LastStandMedia for early ad-free access. LastStandMedia.store for merch. We'll see you next time. Till then, cowabunga.
Bossa Nova. Chevy Nova.
Knockback, a retro and nostalgia podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from Central Virginia and the Philadelphia suburbs, USA. The show was conceived by and is produced by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is Dagan Moriarty. Knockback's executive producer is Dustin Furman. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Knockback, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level or higher on Patreon, and we're grateful for your kindness and generosity.